You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of
The rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
Perfectly balanced. The tang is nearly the full width of the blade.
Impressive. Very impressive. And Commodore Norrington's going to be very pleased with this.
You heard it up top. We are setting sail on an all-new adventure as we kick off our long-form movie coverage series with a brand new series because we are going on a ghostly, thrilling theme park ride adventure of a series because we are talking Pirates of the Caribbean. Kicking off with the first Curse of the Black Pearl here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin Elizabeth Swan.
Mike Turner, related to Light Turner, my favorite Death Note character.
Oh no.
Yo ho, normies. It's Captain Jake Sparrow here.
Oh wow.
Oh, you love it.
But you have heard of me.
I have heard
we
of
have
you.
heard of you.
And we've heard of this Pirates film franchise. We've heard of the ride, as Colin alluded to, which I always forgot that this entire franchise was based on a ride because I wasn't like a big Disney person. So were you aware that it was a ride this whole time? Because I didn't know until after the movie was being advertised.
Certainly never ridden this ride. I don't know. Have you guys? No, I didn't.
I have. Yes, I have.
And what is it? It's kind of one of those dumb. Is it kind of like Haunted Mansion where you're just on like a conveyor belt and like robots are just kind of pelting you with stuff or whatever?
If I remember correctly, it's a boat. And you
it's
go
like a water ride
in a river. Yeah, it's like a water ride, and you go through these caves and stuff. You see the pirates. You see Tortuga. They added like Captain Jack Sparrow animatronics to the ride after the movie came out. But there's a lot of references to the ride actually in this movie, like the dog with the keychain. That's a reference to something that happens in the ride. So yeah, I've seen it. I've gone on in Florida a long time ago when I was younger.
Huh, interesting. Yeah. As not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but when I was watching this too, I was thinking in the back of my mind, especially in Tortuga, like how much of this is a reference to the ride directly. So I wonder if we have that information.
Right. No, like that exact scene of like them all partying and reveling.
Like the lady pouring the beer in the guy's mouth and it's upside down.
Exactly.
Like that's got to be in the ride. Yeah.
Does an animatronic say like this is cursed Mayan gold? There's 882 pieces or whatever.
No, because that wasn't part of the ride until it was written into the movie, right? So that was all
sure.
original for the movie.
Yeah, but fascinating.
Isn't there some controversy I kind of remember where doesn't a pirate like grab a woman and it's sort of like implied he sort of like takes her away on the ride too, and you're like, oh, uh-oh.
I think they might have changed some things.
I believe, yes. Yeah. By the time I learned about it, they were like, and we've cleaned that up. These pirates all, give you high fives and tell you not to smoke cigarettes, and you're like, okay, yeah, that sounds authentic.
That's pirate accurate,
Even they added the Jack Sparrow and I think Barbossa, like I said, and then I think may have taken out Jack Sparrow by this point. Who knows? But I'm not
right. Interesting. Yes, potentially. We're talking this franchise. We're kicking this off. We're doing our long form series. Something again. You kind of pitched, Jacob, our restructuring. Normies, if you're listening to the first time for this. Last episode of every month, we're going to continue. So we'll keep talking about the rest of the Pirates franchise. But just a reminder, guys, we've talked about, and it's coming up on the holiday season, specifically when we used to do these sort of deep dives into franchises, but we've done the Harry Potter films, the Lord of the Rings, we've done Star Wars. Now,
and the holiday special.
And the holiday special.
We finale'd with that, I believe.
Transformers.
Yes,
of course.
Go back and listen. All of the biggest franchise of time. Now, where does this franchise stack up, Jacob? In your past life, where have you been? Like Transformers? No way. I'm all about pirates.
Well, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of this franchise, I would say, but I think I am a fan of this movie because I think this is a franchise where the first one was easily the best to me, and all the sequels have been some form of not as good, but this one I think really holds up, and I love it. So I'm excited to talk about this one in particular.
Yeah, I remember liking it a lot when it came out, you know, and it started a whole pirate craze, and I think, you know, Jack Sparrow invented like a new genre of Ren Fair character, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's
100%.
pretty influential.
Yes.
And to be based on a ride, I think, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one in general.
But there are 5 of these. Mike, have you seen the whole franchise? Have you seen every Pirates film?
I think I've missed one. I watched the first 3, you know, up to Chow Yun-Fat's one, and then I skipped one maybe,
Yes.
and
Keith
then
Richards
I saw
is
the
one.
Javier Bardem one. So if that's the
Okay.
last
Okay.
one,
That's the 5th one. So the 4th one you probably didn't see.
I did not.
I'm
probably
excited
see
to
4.
remember.
We'll
Has
find
Ian
out in a couple
McShane.
months.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
have.
you to be watching one of them and be like, wait, this is the one I have seen.
Yeah, we'll unravel
I will
the
say
mystery.
from my memories, I've seen the 4th and 5th ones, I think one time each, and to
Yeah.
me they're very similar. So it will be
But you have seen them all. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
the 4th one has Ian McShane as Blackbeard and Penelope Cruz, and then the 5th one has Javier Bardem.
Yeah, I have no memory of that place. But Colin, have you seen all of them?
I think I've maybe even seen all of them in theaters, horrifyingly enough. But I can't say at all that I've seen them more than a handful of times this early trilogy that I'm very excited to go back to. And certainly, like Jacob, those last 2, never more than once.
Yeah. It was kind of a trilogy thing going on. And then they're like, let's mess it up. So
well,
it suddenly became Star Wars for our teens. It was like, oh, this is very important. It felt like to keep going to them, but then not at all, of course.
Yeah, I think it was there's an original trilogy, and then there's further episodes starring Jack Sparrow mainly.
there you go.
But the trilogy is
continued
interesting 'cause,
adventures.
it was, you know, in the 2000s it was very popular to like do a trilogy or split your final movie into 2 movies and then shoot them back to back, which I think is what they did for part 2 and 3. Like Lord of the Rings, they shot them at the same time, but after.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into all that.
Yeah, especially
madness.
as we continue through the series, we'll learn more about why did they do it, what they did. But
yes.
For this first movie, like there was really no expectation. So I mean, I'm excited to talk about it. It's been a while since I rewatched it, so at least we're starting off on what I think is a strong note. We'll find out if you guys feel the same way. I think we should walk the plank, you know, shiver our timbers, buckle some swashes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Savvy.
All right, we'll catch you after a short drop and a sudden stop.
We are back here on Normies Like Us, where we're taking a quick parlay, Normies, because we're talking Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Now, was that the title when it released when we were kids, or is that sort of a New Hope situation where they're like, hold on, we're still moving with these? Was it just called Pirates of the Caribbean, or was it Curse of the Black? I can't remember.
Yeah.
This kind of goes into maybe my segment a little bit, but I did have a fact about this.
Interesting. I remember it being advertised as Black Pearl, but I don't know for sure, you know, long time
It's a
ago.
big name. That's the only reason I doubt that it was.
I will say they originally did not have a subtitle. They added it later because in case that it was successful, so they could have sequels and stuff.
I see. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. I'll give some context for, you know, how this movie got made,
Please
that kind of thing. To take you back, you know, the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s, there's the company called Disney, right? I don't know if you've heard of it.
Explain.
Yeah, they did some cartoons at one point. Something like that.
And
the House of Mouse you're talking about? Oh, okay.
They had a pretty good 90s. But they had a, you know, kind of a string of misfires or bombs. And they were looking to, you know, kind of branch out. They had this movie called The Country Bears. You might have heard of it. Also based on a ride. So what's interesting about this movie, you could say this movie was doubly cursed in that, number one, it's based on a ride, and movies based on rides did not have a good track record at this point because the Country Bears had just come out and was a huge bomb. I don't even know if you guys know what that is.
I don't even know that ride. I know the movie came out, but
I remember the trailer from when I was a child, but I've certainly never seen that film.
Why would they?
It's about, to my knowledge, a family of bears, which are like these animatronic bears that are in a country band and play music, like bluegrass music together.
Yeah. It's
So the movie is about them like going on tour or something. Yeah, it's very
Mike.
Right.
It was their first shot at Five Nights
I guess so,
Freddy's.
yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
It would have been better if that was the plot to Country Bears.
Needless to say, it was not successful.
Yeah.
So number one, you had, that going against it. Oh, we're going to adapt a theme park ride into a movie. Okay, well, that hasn't worked out very well. Then you have, well, it's a pirate movie. Now, if you know the history of pirate movies in Hollywood, from like the 70s until this movie came out, it was not good. Pirates were basically known to be box office poison. I think the last big budget pirate movie before this one was Cutthroat Island in the 90s, starring Gina Davis and Matthew Modine.
Begged my parents to rent the Super Nintendo game for my brother and I for that, just endlessly, and to rent the movie. And I remember watching it as a child and being like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my short life.
I've never seen it, but it was like
terrible.
That and Waterworld were like notoriously known for like being just huge bombs, right? And they spent a lot of money on it. They're like, we're bringing pirates back. Yeah.
And on top of that, Jacob, that like the people who made it out, and we're not even talking pirate movies, but like Steven Spielberg's experience on Jaws was so famous that it was like, never shoot a movie on the water. This is a curse. You need to listen to us. Like everybody understood that basically.
Yeah. And even animated, they had, Treasure Planet a little bit before this, which was a Disney movie. There was a Clements and Musker who made Aladdin and a bunch of other successful
films. We talked about it on our Aladdin episode.
Yeah. And that didn't do well. So it was like, and that was co-written by the writers of this movie, funnily enough. So anyways, you can say that to say the least, it was not, people were very nervous about this movie. Michael Eisner, the CEO of Disney at the time, was very, very nervous about this movie. He did not think it would do well. So it's kind of like defied all the odds because it became such a huge success, obviously. But beforehand, like it almost went straight to video because they're like, we don't know, like we might just make this go straight to video because we don't know if it's going to be a success.
It's a John Wick situation.
Yeah,
really? Yeah, that's a good point.
Or John Wick is a pirate situation, I guess.
Do you remember seeing it?
Yes, I saw this in theaters. I was 13, went and saw it with my dad, and had a blast. I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah.
I know I saw it. I don't remember the circumstances, the theater, but I definitely saw it. I mean, it was a really big deal at that time. Like the pop culture after it came out, it really surprised a lot of people. Colin, do you remember seeing it?
I would say after it came out, because Mike, just to point out the difference of times, I would say the trailers felt very limited. I maybe didn't even see one before going to the theaters. My stepdad took my brother, me, and my mom. I basically didn't even know it was. We went to the Friday night, July opening night, showing at the Rave Theater in our town. And it was so packed. It was in that time before you buy seats. We split up into 2 and 2s. So I just sat next to my brother while we watched it. And my stepdad was like, we got to find good seats. He was very excited to see it for some reason. Again, I felt like I knew nothing about it. And then it started. And by the end of it, truly gripping my seats, I was like, there's skeletons in this thing. Like I was so fucking satisfied by the end of it. It was like, I remember the audience cheering by the end.
Yeah. No, for some reason, when I saw it in theaters, like it is one of the strongest theater going memories of my childhood. And when I saw like the introduction of the Jack Sparrow character, when he comes in on that like sinking ship and just steps off on the dock, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is great.
No, this is an event.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered it, but I know just the impact. Like I immediately was like, I'm in on this universe. Same thing, Colin. I'm like, this is like great little, pirate adventure. I'm here for it. Like I thought they really did a good job. So interesting.
Yeah, who doesn't love pirates? One Piece. We talked about it.
Look, we said in that episode, we don't love pirates. Pirates are cool.
Here's a question I have too.
Yeah.
Around this time, an internet debate was started of pirate or ninja. I don't know if that was in your town, but that was going on. You know, what's better, a pirate or a ninja? Obviously a ninja, but that's where I land.
Mike, it's so interesting you say that, because obviously while I was watching this the entire time, and Jacob, we're going to do more context, but of course this is a 2003 Gore Verbinski Disney epic. There's another one like that, eventually starring another man in this, called Lone Ranger. And I was thinking the entire time watching this, it's so interesting how you can take this formula and apply it to, what if cowboys were cool? What if pirates are cool? And then, Mike, in my mind, I was like, oh, it is the pirates versus ninjas. And then I kept going to versus cowboys versus samurais versus
cowboys versus aliens.
You can add any super cool history group of badass loners and make it sort of the noun that people have in this movie, where literally you have the townsfolk in Port Royal being like, pirates, 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 you know, and just saying it over and over, like pirates are their own type of people. Yes. I don't know. I don't know what's cooler. They're all cool. That's the point. How about you guys? I don't know.
That's fair.
Well, when I was a kid, I did dress up as a ninja for like 6 years straight for Halloween.
I was either a ninja or a ninja turtle.
Yeah.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero were my brother's life for Halloween costumes when we were kids. It was just like ninjas karate movies and stuff, like kung fu stuff. Like, it was just ubiquitous. So
this did put pirates back on the map, so to speak.
Yes.
Then for sure. Kind of, this opened the floodgates, so to speak. But
if you look at the history of Hollywood, in the 40s, 30s and 40s and 50s, like, pirate movies were kind of a big thing. You had like Burt Lancaster and Errol Flynn and doing these swashbuckling adventures and whatnot. And then they like fell off, like I said, and became box office poison for a long time. And so, like I said, Disney took a huge risk doing this. Of course, they had Gore Verbinski, like you said. They also had this producer named Jerry Bruckheimer, who came on. He's obviously known for doing a lot of like action movies, Bad Boys, that kind of thing. So they got Jerry Bruckheimer. Then they got these screenwriters, Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott, who I guess had this idea for a while, going back to the 90s. And, they wrote Aladdin, they wrote Shrek. So they had some hits under their belt. Yeah. And they came to Michael Eisner and they pitched him this idea, and he wasn't super... he's kind of lukewarm on it, but they went ahead with it anyway.
But Jacob, here's why Eisner bites, because it's exactly, again, what we talked about in the Aladdin episode, which is whenever Disney has a success, they do not trust it. They go, we nailed it with Sleeping Beauty or Beauty and the Beast. Our core audience is little girls who love musicals. But fuck, wouldn't it be great to get boys money too? And they make Aladdin. And they have all these other movie franchises, and they make children's movies. But again, in the back of their mind, they're like, we want a movie franchise that little boys will just be like, Disney equals cool. And they were so desperate for that. This works, and this is great. And that's why I always love Pirates, because it works. But the unfortunate thing is, when the things after it don't work, like John Carter of Mars and stuff, the in-house people start saying, let's never develop this again. We're rich enough. Let's just buy the boy stuff. And that's why they buy Marvel and buy Star Wars, unfortunately.
Right. Well, they're doing great now, I from what I hear.
Untouchable, some would say.
Yeah. Too big to fail.
But Michael Eisner, it's interesting to kind of read about it, because he was so against some of the best things or the things that made this movie original. Like the entire performance of Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, he just didn't get it at all. He's like, why is he like why is he doing it like that? Like we wanted a more straightforward, action hero.
Right.
So he's just like, this movie's going to fail. This movie's going to fail. He didn't believe in it at all, but they released it. It was a huge hit, obviously. And, that's how the story goes. So
it is fascinating looking back at, like Colin said, the things that came after your Lone Rangers, the other movies in this franchise that we'll get to in the next coming months. But it's like, this in a vacuum was a phenomenon. And like, I'll bet, spoil my own thought early, but like, I enjoy this movie greatly. I think it's a very good movie, especially for a blockbuster. I think it's like, for a blockbuster, it's one of the best, easily.
I agree with you. And I think Partially, that's because I think it's like a prototypical blockbuster, and I think it has a great screenplay. I think you could study the screenplay in film school of like how to make a blockbuster. You know, the way they introduce the characters, the inciting incident, and everything is just very well done.
Character
buy the book.
detail work.
Yeah,
absolutely. But Jacob, I'm making little notes this entire time, going like the one bullet in the flintlock payoff. You know, the you know, like all this stuff. You're just like the character details in this stuff. You don't get this in Marvel movies anymore. Marvel movies are based on this entire film with the quippiness and the repartee and the 4-quadrant, you know, dynamic of, again, the golden triangle that I keep talking about. Scoundrel character, uptight male character, woman.
Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, for sure.
Like guys, it is what it is, right? Like it keeps happening.
The classic love
but
triangle.
again,
Bad
this is
boy,
where it
good
starts.
Boy,
yeah,
girl. Yeah.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. And I think
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that kind of the genius of that is having Jack Sparrow, and this is the problem. Using the way they utilize Jack Sparrow, and maybe the sequels would be different. That might be part of the problem with them, but he's not the main character of the movie. The main characters are the more straight-laced Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. Then you have Jack Sparrow, this zany side character who's like just doing whatever the hell he wants kind of thing. And I think that's what makes that triangle work so well.
Yeah, and as we were saying, the writing on this, like I was like hitting pause like when the inciting incident is happening, and it's like 20 minutes in, like we know who the players are, we know what their goals are, we know like what the obstacles are, and it's like, this is, why don't we do this? Like it's absolutely so well written.
And the first, from the first meeting of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, the grown-up versions, like you get kind of exactly who their characters are, Will Turner's motivations and everything. And then, like I said, the introduction of Jack Sparrow as a character is like one of my favorite ever.
Yeah, I do remember my first reaction to that, and I'm like, that is brilliant. He's up on the mast. It's like this classic hero shot, and they pull the rug out from under you in the most brilliant way.
Yeah,
what an amazing character intro for sure.
Yeah, and we should talk about the character of Jack Sparrow, just because I think there wasn't really a character archetype like this before, where Johnny Depp, he kind of took rock star aesthetics and fused that with the pirate thing, and a lot of people didn't get it at the time, but is obviously very successful. And I think it's a
Ren
great
Fair people owe their character to this character.
Yeah. Oh,
if you guys were pirates, would you do dreadlocks?
Probably not. Probably not.
No. We'll do the hat.
But Johnny Depp can get away with it. I
do a
guess,
bandana for sure, and I would definitely do the little hat on top because that looks dope as hell. Yeah,
bandana.
I would do the eyeliner
style hat,
of course. Yeah,
just a big hat.
A monkey.
But I think Jack Sparrow
100% have a monkey bike.
De Marcel
as a character, a great example of a true chaotic neutral on the alignment chart, right? Like he's really will just flip sides at a moment's notice. No one really knows what he's going to do next. You can say he sort of has a heart of gold, where he's always going to eventually do the right thing, but he's not against stealing and stuff. He's not going to kill innocent people. Probably that's where he kind of draws the line.
Jacob, literally heart of gold, the word flashed in my mind 2 seconds before you said it, because I was thinking about what makes him different than Han Solo, a character that I would argue does more successfully layer in that this guy is a scoundrel who will eventually have a heart of gold. I would say the interesting thing is when you meet Han Solo, he doesn't have an active story. He's being pulled into our main hero story, so he ends up being much more supportive in that film. Meanwhile, we meet Jack not first, but very much separate from Will and the rest of the story. And we know he does have a purpose that he's headed towards. So when he's allowed to bounce around back and forth between sides, Jacob, you really do feel like he's much more out for himself.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
the character work early on, like you said, the pistol with one bullet, but when they're talking shit, like, who is this pirate? A broken compass, like all of that stuff pays off.
You don't even have extra powder. You have one bullet. Like, yes. But it just narratively, it keeps developing and developing more and more, Mike, where the little things that they're outlining just become so much more weighted to the personal character and pay off for the personal character that, again, like Jacob, when you're like, study the screenplay, it's like, how is this not available? How does this not just come with the DVD? I would love to have this screenplay.
Man, yeah.
And even you get, in his first interaction with Elizabeth, he saves her from drowning. So you see like, oh, he's not against helping, saving an innocent person, but then immediately he's caught because he's a pirate. Then he uses her as a hostage to get away. So it's like he can really kind of flip at a moment's notice. But yeah, it's great character.
If she was not Elizabeth Swann, how quickly would he die? Like, you don't know. Like, would he save just anyone, or is it this beautiful lady? Like, where is he?
He does the right thing.
You don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, great Navy men you are. As he jumps in, let's do a little context on Keira Knightley real quick, who plays Elizabeth Swann. Probably the first time we've ever talked about her. I don't know where she's gone. She's not very much active in properties we would discuss, I guess. These big normie franchises. Yeah. The story I really remember on the press tour of this film that I love to tell over and over. She had just had her first ever film appearance in a movie called Love Actually. I don't know if you guys recall that, where she plays a very small part where she's getting married to Chiwetel Ejiofor,
Rick Grimes,
and then Rick Grimes, aka Andrew Lincoln, has the very famous scene. So it's a very small part, but she's become such an iconic meme of it because he holds up the sign, "To me, you are perfect." Does that whole big love scene. She was 19 years old when that was made.
Whoa.
Yeah,
stealing his best friend.
It's not a romance movie.
Best friend's fiance.
Richard Curtis has an interesting take, but here's what makes me love Richard Curtis is they're in the editing bay and he's cutting Love Actually and invites a young Keira Knightley. It's her first film. This is the editing process. He's really sort of being a nice steady hand as a director to her. And he says, "So tell me, you're so young. What's next? You're just about to pop. I know it. What's next?" And she says, "Well, they just offered me a pirate film." And Jacob, to you talking about the history of how these were so, just hated and just shit upon, he immediately says, "Turn it down. Let me save your career right now. Never do a pirate movie." And she basically called her agent to say that and got talked back into taking the part.
Wow.
A lot of actors actually did, turn it down or not consider it for that reason. But was that her first movie? Because she was also in Bend It Like Beckham, right? Was that? I think
that's with this, or it's maybe released after Pirates, because then it's very much billed that she was from this. And then, of course, she ends up being a Domino, which is a movie I fucking love. The Tony Scott film where she plays the bounty hunter Domino.
Right.
But how do you guys feel? Do you guys like Keira Knightley? I'm sorry, that's probably her first film. Yes, of course. She's got a Star Wars background.
The decoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rose Byrne was one of them too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Filmography.
Keira Knightley.
I forgot that completely. Yeah.
I don't know if she's a great actress, but
I miss her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She should be more.
She's not good in this. I would argue her and the next guy we're going to talk about are maybe the worst parts of this film.
Oh,
like you said, she was literally like 19 years old in this movie.
Yeah.
So she's pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like Keira Knightley generally. I think I don't mind her too much in this movie, honestly. I think she is charming as this character generally to me. But I whenever I think of Keira Knightley, I just think, has she ever done a movie with Emma Watson where they're sisters, and why not? Like,
that would be really good, Mike.
I don't know what it would be, but I just think
she aged out of like Little Women. Otherwise, she would have been perfect for one of those roles.
Something like that. Yeah. But I think she's fine. But I haven't seen enough of her filmography. But so this is what I know her for mostly, as Elizabeth Swann.
I think she's married to one of the guys from Blur, maybe. I think she's married to an indie musician, which makes me think she's cool. And obviously, she was a model for a long time. She's real thin. That always kind of made me worried about her.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she does a lot. I feel like she's done a lot of period pieces. I feel like she was in some Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice.
She's in the good version of Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, people like that one.
It's like, you're so close to Little Women, Pride and Prejudice. They almost have
it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have our boy Orlando.
Let's talk. Legolas. So obviously somebody we've talked about a bunch. I said we did all the Lord of the Rings series. Obviously, this is him coming off of being Legolas, where people go, "You are the breakout character in this. You need another huge franchise."
Yeah, and actually, that's a big reason why they went with him over some other actors that auditioned, because they wanted that kind of publicity from Lord of the Rings, which was a huge hit at the time, obviously.
Of course.
And they're really trying to piggyback off that, even though he's not the, nearly like the biggest star, like the biggest role in that movie. Like he's a side character, but he's cool.
That
I guess.
cast too. I mean, yeah, he did, like, people just thought he was cool. He's an elf. He's got a bow. Like bow guys,
Yeah.
But do you guys remember when we did Fellowship? I think we kept bringing up, does he only have 3 lines in that movie, or I think maybe 2 or something? We're all like, how did he pop out of that? It's incredible. But he did.
Yeah.
He did. He really did.
Was a good-looking young guy who can do stunts. He can do fight choreography and stuff. So he proved that. So they're like, he can do sword fighting, that kind of thing.
Buckle a swash, Orlando.
Yeah.
What do we think of him in this movie, Mike? How is he as Will Turner, blacksmith Will Turner?
I just like this movie, so I like him. I like him, but maybe I'm on the other side of you. I mean, it's not great, amazing,
I think he's
changing acting, but I think he's charming enough.
Yeah.
And the swashbuckling is good. The sword fight with him and Jack Sparrow is like in the blacksmith's smithy.
Yes,
that's like an incredible like little sword fight scene. I really like it. But
absolutely,
he's Will Turner. Like it's all he needs to be. He's fine.
He's Will Turner.
No, yeah, he's not a great actor, but he can do this role where he's just a very straight-laced young man who wants to rescue, the damsel. And and I know reading about this movie, one thing Gore Verbinski said to him was basically he kept trying to play it cool because he wanted to be like Jack Sparrow or something. And Gore Verbinski's like, hey, you're still like you're kind of a dork. Like you can't play it this cool. Like you're just a blacksmith's apprentice right now. Like you can eventually be cool once you do some cool stuff, but you're still kind of straight-laced right now.
I like that take.
When he breaks the candelabra and stuff, like I like all that. It's like
yes, and I agree that the character should be written and played dorky. I agree with Gore Verbinski there. I would argue, I don't know. Here's the thing. Both of them, him and Elizabeth Swann, are getting blown off the screen by the performance that is Captain Jack Sparrow. Of course, because it's like it's so much fun. It's so interesting. It's so alive. But I would also argue that maybe the best acting and the most Orlando ever comes alive is when he's doing the impression of Jack Sparrow.
Right.
Yeah. Why is he? Yeah.
Oh, so that explains the.
Yeah, that works.
No, yeah, that's kind of the problem is that Jack Sparrow is such a fascinating character that anytime he's on the screen, like that's all you really look at.
Yes.
And again, Gore Verbinski said like he would try to frame Jack Sparrow out of shots sometimes because he was just so, anytime he was there, his presence was just so overwhelming.
Well, he's wrong in that front then. I think he made the wrong choice there. You need more Jack. Jack, the better.
Well, we'll get that.
I would argue because with the sequels, they did go more Jack. And I would argue that this might be the perfect amount of Jack because you don't want him to be the main character of the movie because he's better as a chaotic, neutral side character, in my opinion, anyways.
He's causing the other pieces on the board to collide in interesting ways. We get a lot of weird, like, in TV shows, you would have episodes where certain characters pair up. It's like that. You get, Jack and Elizabeth Swann for a little bit of an arc. You get Jack and Will Turner for a little bit. And then, like, it's just, he's good to be in the middle. And I think if they had this idea for, like, since the 90s, like, it doesn't even need to, it's not a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Like, it's just on its face a very cool and interesting pirate story that they happen to have the branding, like, just like by itself, it doesn't need to be Disney tied in. Like, I just think they had a really clever, like, set of plots. And, this whole
if this was just a more
ship thing.
If this was a more straightforward pirate movie, it probably wouldn't be as remembered as it is now. But the supernatural element was one thing that they added to it, and then the Jack Sparrow element, because Jack Sparrow was originally not going to be like this at all. He's going to be very much more of a straight-laced Burt Lancaster swashbuckler type. But then when they cast Johnny Depp, he brought his own thing to it, and he basically said, like, well, the pirates were kind of like the rock stars of their day. So I'm going to play him like a rock star. I'm going to have like heavy eyeliner. I'm going to be like drunk all the time. And so really on the script, Jack Sparrow was not like this at all. So
And you keep saying rock star. He's, of course, gone on record saying direct inspiration is Keith Richards from the band Rolling Stones, who we might end up talking about a little more in this series eventually.
That's right. And you even went so far as to put gold caps on his teeth without consulting anyone. He just did that. Then he showed up and was like, hey, I got my teeth capped with gold. Like, why did you do that? And he's like, trust me, like it's a character choice. You just got to go with it. And Johnny Depp was not a huge star at this time. He was up and coming. He had done Edward Scissorhands, some Tim Burton stuff, Sleepy Hollow right before this, but he was not a huge celebrity as of yet. This really
it's one of those things where it really is him not having a franchise, and you do bat around that argument that people hit where it's like, hey, look, Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Daniel Day-Lewis, they don't have 3 movies where they play X character and they're well-known actors. What are you talking about? Where, yes, I agree, but A-listers who don't do the Marvel thing, the Star Wars thing, all those other big franchises we talked about, it is what it is. People did say back in the day, Johnny's not as big as Brad Pitt or somebody because he doesn't have like his big thing, and this was his big thing.
Yeah, he did a lot of like indie stuff, like again Tim Burton stuff, Jim Jarmusch kind of thing. So he would kind of do his own thing. Fear and Loathing Las Vegas, obviously.
Oh man, that Fear and Loathing, that's before this, right? That informed that there's a little bit of homework being done for Jack Sparrow in that movie. A little bit of performance homework.
For sure. And he did have this reputation of like he parties hard, he drinks, he does drugs, kind of thing.
And let's say this. Obviously, he has a kind of different reputation now, and I think it's important that we kind of point this out real quick. Maybe going forward, we'll just talk about Captain Jack, not necessarily Johnny. Right. But to say to the Johnny of it all, yes, we understand there's all this controversy now. Terrible. On both sides, on all of it. I mean, truly, just all of it. Again, we would hope that wouldn't affect our conversation here. We're going to not let it. We're just going to steamroll ahead through it. But something I want to point out that's going to sound like I'm being very like, Colin, why are you offering up this evidence that Johnny Depp's this incredible human being? I'm not. This is context for what we're talking about today. Something I want to point out is, and something that I track a lot and find very interesting, is the Make-A-Wish Foundation. If you guys know anything about it, of course, Make-A-Wish, it's the organization that satisfies, for kids that are terminal in hospitals to get one last good thing basically in their lives before they go. And obviously we all know it's very well publicized. John Cena is the #1 wish granter in the world. Like, he has done 1 billion wishes. Okay.
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Now, that said, I believe the statistic is still true. The #1 like wishes granted by character requested is Johnny Depp appearing to kids as Captain Jack Sparrow. This is something he does where he goes to a lot of children's hospital organizations specifically. This is an interesting fact you guys are going to love. This film is 20 years old. Lily Rose Depp, who is now an actress that we know and who is in things, was a baby born like before these movies, basically, right?
Sure.
She had some complications in the hospital. They were very lucky that she pulled through. Johnny basically claimed, like, for the rest of time, I will try to do as much donation and organization as I can to these things. That has influenced him a lot, appearing, I'm sure you guys have seen them, the viral videos of him at the hospital, fully in character, or going to schools, fully in character. Now, I said, Colin, why are you giving all this evidence? Again, I'm not saying that to say, like, Johnny Depp's the coolest person on the planet. Trust me, I do not believe that. What I am saying is, to really explanation point on this, is the power of this character that we are talking today. It's a character that means a lot to a lot of people. When I was in high school, I would play Dungeons and Dragons with Mormon kids who went to a different high school, but through an acting program I did, I linked up with some of them. A friend of mine started playing with these sessions with these kids. I would start to go to. And the one thing I remember from them is the limited things they could enjoy in life. They would drink as much Diet Mountain Dew as they could, and they would watch Pirates of the Caribbean over and over and over because it was a PG-13 Disney movie. It's the first PG-13 Disney movie ever. We should talk about that too.
Oh, wow.
But it was edgy, but they could say to their parents, Mike, it's Disney, which they knew meant safe.
Wow.
So it allowed them to further see, you know, bigger and more beautiful things in the world. Again, for that, I'll always be thankful. So the impact that this film has, it's ripples. Like, we're really going to talk about it. So I just wanted to put
say
that
you know, people are complicated. So even people that
yes.
do bad things can also do good things.
Can
you know,
do charity. Yes. Yes. Thank you for saying that, Jacob. That's 100% true.
Maybe don't be in a
but what I'll just
relationship
say,
with him, but
yes.
Yeah, you know, people people are complicated.
Yeah.
But I will just say about this movie, I can't understate, or I can't overstate how much the character of Jack Sparrow, how much he had to do with that portrayal, and how much this movie would not be the same without him. So that's all I'll say. Like,
it makes everything work. Those choices and that.
And it also makes sense, Jacob, why we're going to be talking about 5 films in this franchise where he's the character who appears in every single one of them. And also where we get this news every day where people are like, why isn't there a Disney Plus Pirates live action TV show? Why isn't there a new franchise? Why isn't there this? And it's because he's very much rooted to what was the success of these movies. So it is something to point out.
Yes.
Yeah. Without Jack Sparrow, there is no franchise happening, right? If
no,
it's
he
a
was
normal
definitely
pirate guy.
the breakout character by far. And I was even reading Roger Ebert's review of this movie where he was saying, like, I've never seen a character like this in a pirate movie. I don't think I've ever seen a character like this in any movie.
It's like Heath Ledger's the Joker level. Like it is like where people saw it and were just like, everybody knew, where they were like, well, that's different. Like, wow, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like magnetic charisma with this performance.
So we've got our main trio, right? We've got Jack Sparrow, we've got Will Turner, we've got Elizabeth Swann. Of course, we have to mention the fourth major character, I would say, one Captain Barbossa.
Our foil here,
Jeffrey Rush. Again, I think he just kills this role. And he's kind of a foil to Jack in his own way, where he's like an eviler version, but he's doing his own thing, and he's really leaning into the more traditional pirate, like Argh type thing, but it just really works for him, right?
He is doing full-on Long John Silver's, Mike. It is Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island.
He's R-ing it up.
But even
wasn't R-rated.
As a villain, though, like he even has like his own sympathetic, like you feel bad for him when he dies at the end, because he's like, I can feel again, and then he dies. But like, he's got his own pathos to it as well.
For the feel to come back like 8 times, and then for it to be his last line, Jacob, I was like, this script is incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good time to take a quick break here, and we'll come back and kind of go through, what is the plot? What's the goal? What are they after? What do they want to do? And how do they get in each other's way? And we'll pick it up on the other side. Yo ho, me mateys, yo ho.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, yo ho, and a bottle of podcast. We're talking Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah,
we'll use the subtitle. We don't care.
Yeah, why not? We're gonna have more of these anyway. We know the New Hope is happening. But yeah, we kind of have our players here, as we said. Elizabeth Swann, Turner, Jack Sparrow, and Barbossa. But, even when we meet Jack, he has this one pistol, this one bullet, and that's who it's for, Barbossa, because, again, like Jacob said, Barbossa is more piratey. So they had this map to some treasure, and they screwed him over.
Barbossa was his first
mate
on the Black Pearl. And this is interesting, too, because this is something that I read that drew Johnny Depp to the role as well, because the traditional mutiny and stuff happens before the movie starts, right? So Jack Sparrow's captain of the Black Pearl for like 10 years or whatever. They have this, like you said, they have this map to seek a treasure. There's a mutiny. They leave him stranded on an island. Then they go get the treasure. It's cursed Aztec gold, as we know, which gives them the curse, blah, blah, blah. And that's where we find ourselves in this movie.
Yes. So Jack wants revenge and to get his ship back, because he's Captain Jack Sparrow after all.
Yes.
Jeffrey Rush and his pirates and the Black Pearl, they want to collect every piece of gold to break the curse, and one of which happens to be in the possession of a Miss Elizabeth Swann, who just happens to have enough of a crush on Turner to use his name to get her in a very sticky situation.
And of course, when she was
last name, it wouldn't have worked.
When she was a girl, she saw a young Will Turner in the water, saved him, saw the medallion on him, took it, and so that's their first meeting. But then fast forward, they're both adults now, young adults. Obviously, they both have feelings for each other, but it's sort of a high society, low society thing. He's just an apprentice, a blacksmith apprentice. She's the daughter of the governor. So
how many times do I have to tell you to call me Elizabeth? At least one more time. Yeah, I like
at
that.
least one more time, Miss Swan. Orlando's knocking it out of the park. I'm clapping, saying to myself, he absolutely deserves to be Mr. Katy Perry.
Fair enough. That's right. And so that's our setup, right? We get Jack Sparrow visiting. Now, is this what city? Or this is like Nassau, Bahamas or something?
Please let me explain all this. So in that opening scene, and it absolutely wonderful, Jacob, how you talked about the backstory that the adult characters have that we're going to get being like off screen, brings so much to their characters. Getting this little bit of backstory for the kid characters I love too, because you see young Elizabeth Swann making the cross oceanic voyage from Britain to Jamaica, which was a huge thing back then. And she's going to the city of Port Royal, which was a real life, I believe in the south of Jamaica, a port town that was established by the British. Huge background into what pirating essentially boils down to. Same thing that happens now. It's all about land rights.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's all about, in the same way that everybody now just buys up real estate or tries to be the first of things. Back in the day, it was all about shipping lanes, which were the way to basically control consumerism, which was that you would be able to ship goods back and forth to places.
Right.
So like Britain would establish.
Company obviously was a big thing, which will appear in the sequels.
Britain's journey to the West Indies and then establishing the East India Trade Company is, I mean, it's its own whole thing. But the reason that basically pirating exists is to pick off all these commercial shippings and you know, all this maritime adventure stuff. Yes, exactly.
Now, do you guys know a lot about
floating around literally, and the pirates just want to go grab it?
Truly, yes.
And this
tea and syrup
is very fascinating. I don't know how much you guys know about it, but like obviously there was also privateers, which were pirates that were hired by governments to pillage other governments. So like the French could hire privateers to pillage English and that kind of thing.
The best.
But obviously the West Indies were so important because they had spices and different resources that you couldn't get in England because, you know, it's a tropical
What is this colored clay I can rub on my lips to make them redder? Tell me. Boy, what is this? And you're like, okay.
Well, and then tiki masala didn't become the national dish overnight, you know.
Right. Well, British
took a lot of trade routes, and
British Empire loved colonizing places.
But that's a lot of that is not like this movie's not touching on that really, but this is happening in like fantasy pirate universe. Like the same way we have like a fantasy version of the Western, like that's not how the West really was. It's like that for pirates, right?
Also, maybe important to point out or to call out real quick, it is a Disney movie, but for this time period and for the fact that they're in Jamaica, not a million people of color in this film.
Right.
No, well, they don't touch on
3, I believe,
or anything like
if you include Zoe Saldana, which I very much want to talk about in a bit.
Yes, we will. But again, it's fantasy pirate world. Yeah, it's safe. Quote, right?
I would say
it's very safe, Mike.
The only social issues, so to speak, that they touch on is sort of feminism, right? The woman's place in this time period with the Keira Knightley character, where she's, you know, wearing this corset. You know, oh, you think that's bad? Try wearing a corset, she says later. So that's kind of a comment on that. And then, you know,
I definitely remember going home from the movie and asking my mom what a corset was. And again, I think I was 14 years old.
Right, there you go.
It's like, what was that?
Good talk. Good talk.
What was it for?
But I would say the arc of her character, especially in these, you know, in this trilogy where she becomes this swashbuckling pirate captain in her own right.
Can't wait.
You know, so that is kind of commenting on the whole feminism of it all. So
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
they're touching on that. Maybe not some other issues that this time period would have had.
Around
But
pirating, yeah. But then we have I can't remember the name of the general. The guy, he's also wants to marry Elizabeth. He's getting the new
Commodore
sword.
Norrington.
Commodore Norrington. His job is to stop all the pirates. So he's going to be on their tail, when Jack's doing his thing. So that's kind of the main forces. But yeah, Norrington, his job is to stop that.
So you have the British soldiers under his command who obviously want to stop the pirates, like you said. You have Captain Barbossa's crew, who are cursed immortal pirates who are trying
that old thing.
Well, with the reveal of that, how cool.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
so Elizabeth's, because she uses Turner's name, so they're like, oh shit, we know who that is. We need some Turner blood anyway, because they have to return all the gold pieces. I think that's a great scene. You believe in ghost stories, you're living in one, like classic stuff. I remember that.
You're in
100%.
No way.
And even the effects, for the time,
pretty good.
Pretty good.
I thought it held up pretty well. I don't know about you guys. Yeah.
Not like hyper realistic, but it's good. I buy it.
I'm gonna rewind real quick to just do a plot point to say when Will was first found in that opening shipwreck scene, he's wearing a medallion that is this gold thing. Commodore Norrington is just Captain Norrington at the time. I don't know about you guys. That was a big wake up call to me when I was like, wait, he's marrying this 10-year-old in the future.
Well,
what is he's like a man right now. I don't like that. It made me feel very upset. Wow. Yes, it is, but I was not happy about it.
No, I guess they are.
She's very upset.
Condones all this,
Well, she's worried that he's going to be identified, Will Turner, as a pirate, so she takes the medallion from him. Never returns it his entire life. So she has kept this secret from him, and that is what the Barbossa pirates and the Black Pearl are sieging Port Royale for, is that one particular piece.
Yes. And I think the reveal of the curse is great because for this whole movie, it's just a very straightforward period piece. You don't see anything too supernatural. You get a couple hints where first, Jack's in the jail and they visit him and you see their arm in the moonlight. And he's like, that's interesting. And then you have Will fighting pirates in the street. He kills one. And then it gets up, or it comes back, and he's like, "That's weird. I thought I killed you." But you don't get the full reveal, obviously. Yeah.
So she stabs him.
Even the even when they're kidnapping her, another classic scene where she's like parlay. Really great, just fantastic writing. I think
we get the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. We'll see these guys again. This franchise really goes like, well, you love these guys. I do. Right now, I do.
C-3PO.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yes,
without a doubt.
Intel and Ragetti are their names, of course.
Intel and Ragetti.
Yes.
Wow.
One guy, Mackenzie Crook, I know him from. If you've seen The British Office, he's the Dwight Schrute of The British Office. Right. And Martin Freeman is the Jim, of course. Classic British TV. But yeah, they're fun.
So the way all these things are colliding is, now we know, because again, the script is so good. We're establishing the players, what they want. Now we know, okay, we have a cursed gold. Jack wants to get that guy, but Jack is in jail currently. Hole gets blown in the whole situation. The escape scene in the Port Royal siege.
Terrible luck, my friend.
No manner of luck at all, friend.
Yes, no manner of luck at all.
But even in the kidnapping of Elizabeth scene, you see her using her wits, her pirate knowledge to say, "Hey, the pirate code that we're hearing about now. I say parlay. That means you have to take me to your captain." And so they go on board the Black Pearl, and we meet Barbossa, Captain
Barbossa. And Jacob, you're right to hit again what her sort of storyline is about. In that first scene with her and young Will, Mr. Gibbs, a character we'll meet later, says like, having a woman on board, that's bad luck or whatever. And then when she's brought on Barbossa's ship, a guy says like, don't speak, and like hits her, like a woman shouldn't talk and stuff. Barbossa's introduced with none of this. He is actually, much more of like a gentlemanly rogue pirate. Again, like you said, these traditional roles, which is just so, I don't know that I knew who Jeffrey Rush was at the time, but I just immediately was like, this character is great. I want more of this. And
I
I hope he
certainly didn't
doesn't
know
die
him
at the end.
when I was
Okay.
13. Yeah.
No.
Well, maybe if he's popular enough, we'll
I
bring
hope
him
he's
back.
in 4 more of these movies,
Oh,
even though
wow.
he dies.
Yeah. No backsies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
he's great. And again, yeah, he's because he knows the secret. It's just cool to see his interactions with it. Like he has all the leverage, but Elizabeth doesn't even realize it, and she's trying to escape.
yeah, he's
grabs a
playing
knife.
along.
He
Yeah.
has all the
Chris
leverage, but
inclined to
I really
acquiesce to
like.
your requests. Yeah.
Well,
Means
yes,
no.
but I like the moment where she puts the gold coin over the side and says, "I'll drop it," and he says, "This is a whole ship full of gold. What would I care about one piece?" And she says, "I know that this piece is important to you." And that's when she does the Turner gambit, and you see the gears turning in his head. Turner's your name, you say?
Yeah.
Ah, then welcome aboard, me lass. I'll accept your parlay and your terms, and
Yep.
and then he immediately turns on her, and she learns this great rule, which I believe does come back in like 4 of these movies, which is like parlay is really just more of like a loose guideline.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
yeah.
they say. Yeah, the code is they're more what you would call guidelines. Yeah,
That's right. Pirate.
which is funny
you get
because
that
there
line
is.
a lot. It's like, why did you double cross me? And someone just like, I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
Pirates. I hate pirates. You're the worst pirate. Again, Mike, we're in this screenplay. The word pirate must be written 256 times.
It is the word parlay, the word pirate.
882 times, maybe.
But
Hey,
the
nice.
idea of this pirate's code, it's interesting because they do kind of go all in on that in the sequels, and even this Keith Richards cameo that we'll see.
I believe he's the king of pirates, maybe.
Yeah, he's like
I believe
the
he is
keeper of the
Monkey
code.
D.
He's got,
Luffy.
like,
Yeah. It's in the Grand Line.
pretty much. So we'll get to that. But basically, now she's on the Black Pearl. They're going to Isle
coin
de la
back.
Muerte, basically, I think it's called, or something like that. The Isle of
Death.
the Dead. That you can only find if you know where it is.
That's a place on no maps that only those who know where it is can find.
Yes. Meanwhile, you have Jack in prison. Will finds out that Elizabeth has gone missing and vows to, save her. So he goes to Jack to have an
Norrington
unlikely
says,
partnership,
"Nah, dog,
right? Yeah.
You're not doing that. You're just a blacksmith. You chill." And then Will Turner's
Right.
not going to chill. So then he goes to get.
So he goes to Jack. Jack is uninterested, but then he finds out that his name is Will Turner, and immediately he's like, "Oh, you know what? I am in." Will notices that, so he's like, that might be, something to pay attention to. And then they go to Tortuga, which is the pirate city of pleasure, right? Where you can go get drunk and do whatever else. You can rabble rouse.
Free pirate.
Keep it PG-13, but
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
Tortuga's fun. It's a lot. Like it definitely
It is.
We're suspending a lot of disbelief here, but it's fun, but it's like, it's complete unrest, you know what I mean? It's cool to see the
it's kind of
craziness,
it's
based
very
on the
campy,
ride.
like it's over the top, like pirates.
No one's
are just
actually
insane.
living here, right? Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's like going to Vegas or something. You're just letting loose,
Right. Yeah, but like everybody's constantly fighting in the bar. Like it's a fun vibe, like a good set piece, I think, to have them. And he goes to get Gibbs. They're trying to get a crew together.
It's Mr. Gibbs again. Mr. Gibbs is just sort of this like dedicated first mate, I guess you realize. So sort of Jack absorbs him as his and says, "Can you get a crew together?" And they do this great joke of, "Why'd you throw water on me? I was already awake." For the smell. And you're like,
For the smell.
Yes. Yeah, he's kind of like a sailor who, he was, sailing for the British in the beginning, and now he's a pirate. So I don't know what happened there, but I guess he's just whoever's willing to pay, he'll work.
Yeah.
But they pull together this unlikely crew, including
now it's
Anna Maria, right?
Anna
Our
Maria,
favorite,
including featured extra Anna Maria, who will say. She's a U5. She won't say, more than 5 lines. Otherwise, you have to get paid more. But she will say up to 5 lines and basically say things like, "Jack, how dare you?"
Ship.
Yes, and of course, this is
like
a young Zoe Saldana before her big breakout. Who would go on to
watch this
many
recently?
franchises.
Did any of you guys know this? I mean, we just watched Jacob. We just finished our last series where we watched her. Like every film at the end, she played Uhura. She became a huge part of Star Trek. to kick off our new one, she's in this one, Jacob. What are the odds of that?
Yeah,
she's in
and
so many
Avatar too.
franchises. Avatar.
We're doing the Guardians after this. Then we're doing Avatar, so it makes sense.
It's wild.
But this was before all of that. But they could see, I guess, that she had that star power because they, like you said, she's a featured extra. She's the only woman on this crew, and that's when you get Gibbs saying, "No, it's bad luck to bring her aboard," and then Jack says, "It's better, it's worse without her," or something. So
yeah. But she's
bad luck on top of our bad luck is good luck, and you're like, there's a lot of circular logic like that going around. At one point, the guys in the cage say something about how the Black Pearl leaves no survivors, and Jack goes, "If they leave no survivors, how could the stories get out?" It's like there's a lot of those jokes of like circular jokes that I really like, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, she will not be back in the sequel.
No, so. I don't think so.
I read that she did not have a great time with the higher ups. She was like the
yes, I was gonna
upper brass. I didn't want to ruin your fact. But...
No, this will be in the quiz too. But we'll.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But possibly, so she will not be back. But they set her up as if she would be, because like you owe me a ship, and at the end there's some interactions. So it's like I totally, because I wasn't aware. I hadn't seen this in so long that where I became like, oh, Zoe Saldana, #1 fan. Let's go. And I was like, no way. It was a pleasant surprise.
I did not remember.
Yeah.
No.
So I remember, but she'll go on to bigger and better things.
She will.
But so they're putting this crew together in Tortuga. They're going to go after the, well, of course, we skipped over, Jack and Will stealing the Interceptor, the HMS Interceptor, which is the fastest ship in the fleet. There's basically 3 ships in this, right? There's the Black Pearl, there's the Interceptor, which is a small, fast boat, and then there's the Dauntless, which is the flagship of the Royal Navy, you could say.
And we're getting this recurring joke, Jacob, with Norrington during these parts with the worst pirate I've ever seen, the worst pirate I've ever seen, and then we're getting the payoff when they steal the HMS Interceptor.
It's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen. So it would seem.
And we should talk about the score too, because then that's kicking in, and I'm literally like jacking off while I'm watching this movie. I'm like, this is so good.
Hell yeah. Commodore Norrington's basically in this movie to just basically get cucked throughout the movie.
Every second by both characters. And literally at the end, he takes the other guy's hand and says, like, "Will you love her?" It's like so brutal. It's like, oh my god.
If I can't have her, I guess you can.
Hey,
but
are you a good guy? Just tell me you'll kiss her every night. And you're like, dude, like you lost. like you sound like a fool right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's just there to be British and get cucked.
Yes.
But so
he will be back as well.
They have this genius plan where they steal the much larger Dauntless, but then when they go after the British goes after the Dauntless with the Interceptor, they swing over to the Interceptor and take the smaller, faster ship.
Yep.
Brilliant. So they head to Tortuga, get a crew. They're going to, chase after the Black Pearl. So they all meet up on this island, right? And Jack and Will sneak in, check out what's going on. Of course, the pirates think that Elizabeth is Elizabeth Turner, so they're going to use her blood to lift the curse.
And just to stop you real quick, I will say at this point, and maybe this is the one weakness I have for this film, I was truly like, oh shit, this thing's wrapping up. That's wild. I can't believe this ends so quickly. I hit pause and I was like, 1 hour and 40 minutes left. I was like, how could that even be possible at this point?
But it gets right to the action, and then there's this whole thing where Jack gets, stranded, or Jack and Elizabeth get stranded on an island. And...
I just couldn't believe it. When that happened, I was like, we go back to Isle de Morte later? I was like, we go there twice? That's crazy.
Yeah, that was
because at first Will.
I can see a world where you only go there once in this script. It's a little long, even though I really enjoy it.
Mike, by literally when this film wraps up, I hit pause and there were still 20 minutes left, and then Will Turner turns into a Three Musketeer at the end of this movie, and we won't talk about that. I didn't need any of that, let me tell you.
No, that was great, because that's kind of setting up a future movie where there's like, the continued adventures of Jack Sparrow and Will Turner.
I would have to assume that's all reshoots.
Oh man,
maybe,
who knows?
But Jack Sparrow's still got to switch sides 3 more times before this ends.
That's true. They do the cool ritual. They do the blood thing, like you're saying. It's this whole thing about, and I love that we will find out that every culture has cursed like 5,000 items in this magic world, but I love that this one specifically, they're like, look, we took a stone case from some Mayans that was from, what's his name? It's the
Cortez.
Ferdinand.
Yeah, it's the
Cortez,
Aztecs.
thank you, who was trying to find El Dorado, right?
Cortez, the conquistador, who was notoriously very brutal to the native people of South America. And so they gave him this cursed gold, I guess, as so I like that it is kind of rooted in history.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. I love that.
It's a little Uncharted, you know, dare I say.
Yeah. Another great
little Jungle Cruise, if you guys ever got there. Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
But, so I do like this though. Like, did it work? And then he just shoots the guy, and then it's like, I'm not dead. It's like, but,
yeah,
you know, like that stuff's fun.
So they realize something's wrong. Then Will is able to kind of take Elizabeth. They kind of escape. Am I remembering this correctly? And then they
you are.
They escape.
Yeah.
This is where Johnny comes in, and then they find Jack, and they're like, we'll take Jack captive. And that's when they put him on the island with Elizabeth. And that's when they go on the boat, and they turn because Jack says, I'll play my card here. I'll give you this kid. This kid's related to Bootstrap Bill. And this is a name that we've heard about 1,000 times. We're still not really fully associated with what's going on with him. But we did get a speech from Mr. Gibbs, who was like, you know, so it wasn't about Bootstrap Bill, but he set up the entire thing with Jack Sparrow to say, like, when they found that gold, everybody took a vote on how it should be split up. And basically the only person who was against it was Jack. And they're like, well, fuck you. And they mutiny his ass on the island. So we're going to later find out how the rest of that sort of judicial process went. But that sets up the whole legend that is Jack Sparrow of like, well, how did he get off it? You know, he tied 4 sea turtles together.
What did he use for rope? Human hair from my back.
And then you don't know if that's true or not. I like that he just answers. It's like almost like if he's heard the myths too, and he's like, and we're moving the boat now. I think that's very fun.
He's building this whole mythos about himself.
But in a real world context, Jacob, where we know now that sailors on these boats who we talked about in One Piece with the tangerines and stuff, they would get the scurvy so bad, they would lose their minds so much. We know for a fact now that they would see manatees and dugongs and sea cows and be like, mermaids. like every story that they had out there was like, and then the god Poseidon came out of the water. And you can't believe any of it, but you also can believe some of it. And that's really what I like about pirating in general, is the big grandiose legacy of storytelling that's tied to losing your mind, basically. Yes.
And like the historical facts about pirating is like, all the famous pirates were like pirates for like 2 years before they were like caught by the British and killed, basically.
Right.
But you
because
would
like
learn
it was a very
these
dangerous
things.
pastime. Yeah.
But what I really like about that Edward Steed show that's on right now, and what you learn about Blackbeard, Edward Teach himself, that he would do that thing where he'd like put matches in his beard and like light them on fire, so he would like look like a demon to people like while he was killing them. Be like, they were crazy, like they were sick and crazy.
But a lot of people don't know that like Blackbeard would try to avoid killing a lot of people if he could, because he would just be so intimidating and fearsome that people would just surrender, and that's easier than having to kill a bunch of people and attack.
And he wants to create a legacy. He wants to. The bigger the myth, the more he'll be left alone. Like that is half of what it was back in the day.
Absolutely. So it's the whole thing of like, well, if they didn't leave any survivors, then who told the tales, right?
I love
it. I love
and then we find out
ego with all the pirate captains, like a bigger hat. Like they want that reputation as well as the fortune.
And then when they do get stranded on that same island that Jack was stranded on before, we find out the secret. His secret was that he got off that island in 3 days because some rum runners were using that island, and he got off that way. So really, the myth was very different from the reality. But
from the looks of it, they haven't been using this hideout in a while. And he gets blasted on rum. It's great.
And then Elizabeth Turnerby's clever again. She knows. Obviously, it's clear he wants to get blasted on the rum. She pretends to go along with it.
So this is where I feel where I'm like, girl, you're in danger here. Like this guy is so dirty. And the way they've all been around. You just imagine that this guy has not been around a woman in so long. And when she says that line about how she's not drunk enough to be with him, I'm like, girl, be careful here. Like this is so dangerous.
Yeah. Luckily, Jack Sparrow's a good guy. He would never do anything.
Luckily, it is a PG-13 Disney movie.
Yeah.
Fantasy pirate world is much better than real life.
Yes, but they so obviously
start the huge fire.
She knocks him out. It starts a huge fire. She's like, "Oh, they're gonna see us." And Jack gets pissed off. Yeah, and then the boat is on the horizon. She's like, "I'm never gonna. There'll be no living with her after this." Like, damn it, she was right. And there's no rum. You know.
What do you? Can I ask you guys? What do you think is the most famous line from this movie? But you have heard of me. Worst pirate I've ever seen.
Mr. Believin.
The rum's gone.
Yeah,
I think maybe that one, Jacob.
Gone.
I think
there's
the
one
memes that have been made out of this. Yeah,
one line it literally inspired the name of a band, which we'll talk about. Mike knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Interesting.
I know.
Dead Men Tell No Tales. I would imagine.
No, you'll know. But a lot of iconic.
I don't know
for sure. But
it's also iconic. Yes.
I still put my money
on
anything
Jack Sparrow says.
I was doing the Leo Points meme a lot, Jacob. Yes, every line he was saying, I was like, that's another one you see on the internet a lot. I don't know if pirates posting is like as big as like sequel memes or something, but I would imagine it's up there.
No, maybe in the 2000s.
Yeah, who are the people holding this franchise down like annually, like Harry Potter? I don't think there's many, but there's probably some.
Well, it just doesn't really have a season tied to it, does it? Pirating.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's never one moment in this where they celebrate like Christmas. Like I know that's dumb to point out, but it's like Harry Potter has that. You know, it's like people associate those with holidays now.
True, even Star Wars. But,
But so the British recapture Jack Sparrow. They save Elizabeth, and now they're headed towards.
My wedding gift will be to go save Will Turner.
That's right.
So she wants to save Will Turner.
Are you saying you'll marry Commodore Norrington, daughter?
Yes.
Yep.
Jonathan Pryce, obviously playing her dad.
The best. The dirtiest priest in Westeros.
Right.
He gives off like the energy from the dad in Aladdin. I can't remember.
Yes. Big Sultan vibes, Mike.
Big Sultan vibes, yeah.
Big Sultan vibes is something I'm going to start saying about all these old himbos that are, dumbass dads who are like, my trains, yes.
Yeah. He's great.
So obviously they convinced Commodore Norrington to go after the pirates. So they're all going to meet up on this island.
We're going back and forth. And
again, Jack's got his own plan. So he, again, backstabs the British by convincing him with this whole plan. Then he goes in, makes his own deal with Barbossa, but he's like triple playing them.
I'm saying this is when he brings up the Bootstrap Bill stuff.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, this is when we finally learn the secret of Bootstrap Bill. Of what happened is he was the only one to vote on Jack's side, so they made him walk the plank.
Yes, he was Will Turner's father, Bootstrap Bill Turner, who. It didn't sit well what they did to Jack Sparrow with him, so they made him sink down to the bottom of the ocean.
Yep.
But of course,
I also like the through line lesson that we're getting for Will, which I think is very good writing. That Johnny literally points out at one point. He's like, "You knew your father's a sailor. I knew him as a pirate. You think he has this bad legacy. I knew him as a good man. How can't you reckon the two?" And he's like, "Oh, you're right. I guess."
Yeah,
right?
We learn a little more about
all pirates are bad.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's basically what Jack Sparrow's saying. Like, he's a good man and a pirate. And then we learn about how he feels about what the Black Pearl means to him. It's freedom. That's what it is. It's freedom.
So I really like that.
It really is.
I really
that's a
like
great
that.
speech. Yeah.
Yes, it's really good.
We're just having adventures.
It sucks. It's good. What can you say? Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. I do like it. And yeah, it's only what you do. Can you serve under a pirate or can you not? That's all we have here. We got to do this shit.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
So this is all coming to a head.
So they're going to take Will back. They're like, okay, we got him. We got the thing. We're going to go finally.
But then Jack.
Basically, it was action scene on action scene here. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, go send the pirates. Don't break the curse yet, Go send the immortal pirates after the British.
Kill the
have a big fight.
British. Yeah, then you can become human.
Yeah.
Like, just wait a little bit.
So they head over. There's a big battle on the Dauntless. Of course, they're unkillable, so it's kind of one-sided at this point where the British are just getting slaughtered. And this is the first time you really see people just dying, and it's still PG-13, but you see people getting stabbed with swords and like, yeah, that guy's probably dead.
And Conrad Norrington's face is like, ooh, I'm not getting out of this one. You're like, oh.
Yeah. And then we get a fight in the treasure room too. We get
Swatch is being buckled.
Jack is sort of pretending to be on Barbossa's side, but really he's working with Will. That's the double reveal, I guess. They turn on him. They start fighting the pirates. We get a sword fight with, Barbossa and Jack Sparrow, who's also taken a piece of the gold. So he is also immortal. Another reveal.
Well, Jack gets stabbed. Yeah. Jack, no. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. As he pulls the sword out, steps into moonlight and turns into skeleton Johnny. And you're like, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you see him palm the coin. It's very clever stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. We're going to stay locked in an eternal duel forever, Jack. What's come on. Like, I love that with Barbossa.
Did you guys ever play Treasure of Monkey Island? It's very much that, where all of a sudden there's like skeleton pirates at the end, like having big sword duels, and you're like, great, I'm a kid again. This is delightful.
Actually, like the people that made that would go on and say like, oh, that movie suspiciously like our games.
Interesting. I'm just putting that together, but if I was them, I would be very pissed.
I would at least try to litigate
LucasArts, I think.
Yeah.
I would also be like, we are kind of in the Disney fold now, so it's interesting that your ideas came from somewhere, you would wonder.
True. Kimba the White Lion, Lion King, I don't know.
Right. But yeah, so then of course they Will drops the coins back in, they lift the curse, the pirates are now mortal.
One shot goes off.
Yes.
You missed. Did he?
You've been holding on to that one shot for so long, and just to waste it now. And then
he didn't waste it.
Yeah.
10 years you've been holding. You're right. It is a little Mr. Krabs, by the way.
True.
Yeah.
Will drops the coin in.
I feel
cold. The greatest. We've had the green apple motif, the taste, the loss of, I have a thirst that I can't quench, a hunger that won't disappear. I want to feel the wind on my face. That speech was so incredible that to pay it off here with the whispering of, I feel cold. Boom, a drop. And you're just like, so where was Jeffrey Rush's best supporting actor this year? Like, what was going on in 2003 that we weren't rewarding this performance?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. And
he has to teach the king how to get over his stutter before we'll take this guy serious. Boo.
Right. That's retroactive for Pirates. Yeah.
Yes.
But man,
I dare you.
And he was a more established actor at this point, but I didn't know him, of course, when I was 13. But he
was not starring in movies for 13-year-olds.
No,
this was his movie for 13-year-olds. It was great. He picked the right one, and he did a great job in it. So,
but it's just amazing that this movie has two different iconic pirate roles, and they're so different from each other. Like you would never confuse
ever get
Jack
over
Sparrow
them.
with
They're like
Barbossa.
These two were the ones that work.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and if they would have had
hit it out of the
Sparrow,
park.
like play regular, like you have two of the same pirate. Then you just have two of the same pirates. So you have this goofy one, and then the regular guy.
It would just be like one with an eye patch, and you'd be like, okay,
great. Yeah, no, the contrast is what makes it work.
Yes,
chemistry for sure.
So he's killed. Obviously, all the pirates are now mortal. The British quickly overwhelm them. They surrender. And the day is won, right? And so the heroes have won. The British Empire, of course, is the hero. And then we get this little epilogue where they're going to hang Jack, right?
Epilogue? Again, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20, I believe 8 of them are credits, but that's still a long, long time.
But I like this scene. I like it.
Do you like the outfit he appears in? It really turned me on Will Turner.
Oh, well, yeah, nice hat.
No, now he's feeling himself, after doing all this pirate
feeling
stuff.
himself.
Like,
I'll put this cape on. Your dad's name was Bootstrap Bill. You don't get to dress like this.
Yeah, no.
No, he's like, I'm a pirate now. This is what I wear as a pirate.
That is not what pirates would wear.
Don, we gotta go.
He walks up to Elizabeth in front of the Commodore and is like, I love you, basically. And she's like, okay, cool.
Well, it is my wedding day. I'm literally marrying this guy right now, so weird.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he saves Jack from hanging.
Throwing a sword like he did before.
Yes, another great callback. Foreshadowing, payoff. We love it.
And this sword was made by a great man. Would a great man also give his wife little butterfly kisses before he says goodnight to her every night? I will.
Yeah, Norrington wasn't
sir.
such a bad guy after all.
Yes. He comes off truly like a psychopath in this last scene.
Yeah. We can give him 1 day's head start.
Yeah.
Jonathan Pryce. So again, this is one of those circular logic lines where he says, like, if piracy was the answer, then it seems to me that to do now is to what it is of piracy. And you're like, what did you just say? And then it cuts to credits, and you're like, wait, what did he just say?
And then the last shot is they start kissing, and then he's just standing there awkwardly in the shot. I thought that was he's like walking
very
away.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter's just kissing this guy over here. I'll just watch awkwardly from the side.
This blacksmith. I'm the governor of Jamaica, basically.
Yeah. But that's the movie, and then it's
the movie.
Teasing
There's some great
sequels, of course.
Just to mention real quick before we have another segment here, like the
Absolutely.
boat stuff is really impressive. Like it's practical effects, some of these explosions in the water and stuff. Like there's really, really good action in this. The choreography is good for the swashbuckling.
Yeah, they did a lot of it practical on boats in the water,
Mike,
that kind of thing.
You know what my fucking favorite scene is? We are so introduced to the idea that Will Turner is saying this thing of like, I make these swords, but I also practice with them 3 hours a day, that he is so good with these like swords or whatever. He's such a great fighter. But the power that Jack has when they're having the conversation and he's on the ship and he swings and the bow hits Will and like puts like the fact that he's like fighting with the boat that he's captaining, basically, it's so cool.
10 years of captain.
He's able to improvise.
He's doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those improvisation skills are great.
The mast, I'm sorry, not the bow.
Yeah.
Right.
But that is awesome. Yeah, and the whole thing with the sword fight in the blacksmiths. Who makes all these? And they're, it's really
the
well
drunk guy there. You're just where I left you. You're not where I left you. To the hammer. It's very funny.
Yeah, and just one setup callback thing that I really liked too is like they have no cannonballs, so they're putting like forks and stuff in, and then they shoot it at R2D2 and C3PO pirate, and it sticks in his eye. But then that gives them the idea we should put a weird thing in our cannon, and that's what breaks the mast is the ball and chain. Like they're inspired, right? And they take an action. It's like it's just really well done, even in the action scenes, little stuff like that.
For a PG-13 movie, Mike, we do get those two characters in dresses at one point.
And a disapproving head shake
just
from
what
a
the
tough
Trojans
manly
did.
man.
Well, that's the Disney of it all. It's just like, no. Take that off. We also get a guy, I mean, Mr. Gibbs is literally like, and then when you're given that, one bullet and you're on an island, like he like mimes blowing your brains out. He doesn't say it, but for a Disney movie, again, he's like, you'll commit suicide is what he's implying there. That's interesting.
No, it's right on the edge.
It's
crazy what some of the things they get away with in this movie.
Yeah,
I do like Gibbs being obsessed with everything's like bad luck. Everything's bad luck to him.
Bad
He's
luck.
like obsessed with bad luck.
Yeah.
But it was good luck to watch this. I think, man.
Yeah, should we head on over to our next segment?
I think
possibly.
Time.
Let's cruise over.
Let's do it. Let's jump ship, as it were.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're going to be docking our ship here pretty soon, talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. But first, as we do in our long-form studies, done a special segment to close out before we hit our final thoughts on each of these. And that segment, I'm happy to announce, listeners, is returning.
Wow.
Yes.
And now, Colin, remind me what this is called.
Yes.
Or what you named it.
So in our Star Wars series, we, of course, had the Wrath of Cobb. Star Trek. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Our Star Trek series. The Wrath of Cobb quizzes at the end. And this one, Jacob, you'll be guiding us through it. It's a name I came up with, which is why I'm saying it, even though it's your segment.
Yes.
The Pirates of the Caribbean quiz. No,
Dead man. Yeah.
Dead man's quiz. The
Podrits
of the Caribbean
Dead man's
quiz.
There we go. It rolls right off the tongue.
That's right.
Yeah,
Easily.
This quiz is more
Easily.
like guidelines, you might say. But
remember when we used to say Starvember Wars Sember?
Yeah. It was amazing.
Lord of
I loved
November. Yeah.
Oh, that was hobbits of the January,
Something like
whatever
that.
we used to say.
Hey, you know,
Right.
you got to
Oh,
evolve.
my
You never
God.
want to know your next move. You know,
That's
the good
right.
ones, you always know what they're gonna do. You gotta.
Mhm.
That's right. But the
Yeah.
point is, the Cobb's quiz is back. You know, fan
Fun
favorite,
trivia.
of course. Trivia quiz, true, false. You know the rules, normies. Colin and Mike here are going to answer true or false. See who gets the most right. Some of these may have come up when we were talking about the making of this movie, so we'll see how well these hold up. But let's do it, right?
And we got a whole visual element that if you watch along on YouTube, Mike and I are going to be flashing like one finger for true, two for false, just to keep us honest there. And of course, you can play along as well.
Now, before we
get
do you have
paper and a marker and write a T and an F on something we could flip around? But
that's
too
a good
much
idea.
work.
That would be smart.
We will get paddles one day. Yeah.
Yeah. You should something.
You'd have to say Argh or Argh. What's two things that pirates say?
Almost like that.
Savvy or
true?
Not savvy.
False.
Savvy. Barley.
Yeah. Parlay.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But we'll just keep the one finger, two finger method for now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, before we get, do you guys have pirate names? Of course, you guys picked out pirate names before this for your team name.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Mike Turner. I'm just a blacksmith pirate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to call myself Bad Beard.
Bad Beard.
Bad Beard.
That's not bad.
The famous pirate Bad Beard.
All right. Well, let's get into this this here quiz. All right. You know the rules. Question number 1. So the first couple ones are going to be about the casting trivia. So first of all, the role of Jack Sparrow was written for Hugh Jackman. True or false? Hugh Jackman.
2003. 2003 Hugh Jackman.
2003.
When the hell was X-Men, I guess? 2001? 2002. Oh, that's interesting, Mike.
That's
interesting.
Australian
I'm locked
actor.
in.
I'm locked in too.
Lock him in. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hoist him. What should I say? Hoist the mainsails.
A split. I'm on true.
That is true.
Colin was on false.
You might have caught the name, Hugh Jackman, Jack Sparrow. It was originally written for Hugh Jackman by Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott, but he wasn't considered a big enough star at the time by Disney, which is interesting because this was after X-Men, of course, but he didn't have the star power. And they're like, well, this Johnny Depp guy, we think we're going to go with him instead.
And again, Jacob, you've brought up so much this episode about how he brings the rock star element. He brings everything to it.
Yes,
really,
this would have been a more straightforward pirate Hugh Jackman.
I'm just trying to even imagine what he would have looked like. You guys, of course, remember he does end up playing the pirate character Blackbeard in the film Pan, a Peter Pan prequel by Joe Wright. That's maybe one of the worst bombs in Hollywood history, and he's like bald in that. Like, boy, I don't know.
For some reason, they liked him, and they're like, this guy, this guy could be it. Also, Matthew McConaughey was considered due to his resemblance to Burt Lancaster, who was a big action star, you might say, in the 40s, swashbuckler. And Matthew McConaughey does kind of look like him. So they're like, if we want a Burt Lancaster type, this guy would be perfect. But eventually, of course, they went with Johnny Depp.
Matthew McConaughey would have given a similar performance to Johnny Depp, even without all the other stuff. That maybe could have worked.
Yeah, he would have brought his own McConaughey-ness to it.
Elizabeth Swann, you're looking good, girl. It's like licking his lips, and you're like,
you have heard of me. Yeah.
You stay the same age. I get older, but you stay the same age.
I stay immortal, but you stay the same.
But you all right.
I'm a skeleton.
All right.
All right, next question.
It's good. It's good.
That's good.
It's all good.
It's all
That's Jack Sparrow. What about the role of Will Turner? It came down to Orlando Bloom or Christian Bale. True or false?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, when was Batman
Christian
Begins?
That's
Oh,
after. That's
yeah,
like
that's like
2005.
2004, 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Somewhere in there.
Okay. I'm locked in.
Lock them in. 3, 2, 1. Avast, mateys.
Going false again.
False. Both
That
false.
is false. It was
Okay.
actually the two finalists were Orlando Bloom or Heath Ledger.
Really?
Ledger.
Oh.
Yes.
And, also
this is
would not have
Knight's
been good,
Tale,
honestly.
10 Things I Hate
No,
About
he would have been great
You.
with his Knight's Tale energy. A man
Yeah.
can change his stars. It's perfect, Will Turner.
Mike, but that's the energy that he would have. But I'm picturing the Patriot because it's him so buttoned up and being like innocent, and I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that.
I want Lord von Liechtenstein on a boat.
Yeah. No, I think he would have been great.
I love that movie
I
so
love that
much.
movie.
It's crazy. It's
love Knight's Tale.
crazy.
It's
You
incredible.
might be interested to know that Tom Hiddleston also auditioned for this role. Tom
Hiddleston would have been good. This is he would have been a baby
Way
face.
before
He would
he
have been
was,
so
a
young
star, of
looking.
course,
But yeah.
Interesting.
Was he? Yeah. What was he known for before Avengers? Or Thor, I guess.
Theater.
No idea.
Truly, Kenneth Branagh being like, "We did a play together. I'll give you a shot on this."
Wow.
There you go. Well, you guys nailed that second one. I was trying to throw you off, but let's go to Elizabeth Swann. Natalie Portman was the first casting as Elizabeth Swann, but had to drop out due to scheduling issues. True or false? Natalie Portman.
I think I'm locked in.
Lock them in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal them.
Going true.
We're both true.
False. That was false. I was trying to throw you guys off. Yeah,
the Star Wars is what got me,
Menace
Mike. I was like, of course they'd want to cash on that.
We got more. Yeah.
You would think so. Other actresses that were considered: Amanda Bynes or Jessica Alba.
Whoa.
So Amanda Bynes, very strange choice.
But neither of them British.
No, I guess not.
Wow.
Both of those. Jessica Alba would have been terrible. Amanda Bynes would have been. I mean, this would have been a straight up children's movie. This would have become like one of those films she made.
Show at that point.
Yeah, but like She's the Man, like those movies those like high school girl movies. That's what this would have been, and that's fine. But
no, the god tier casting is like Kate Beckinsale, probably.
Yes, yeah.
Like if we're
that would have been incredible. Yeah, a young Kate Beckinsale. Yeah.
So.
All right, and for the last casting question, here we go. The first choice for Barbossa was Robert De Niro. True or false?
I'm locked in.
I haven't liked thinking about any of these alternate dimensions.
Robert De Niro.
I'll say that. Okay, I'm locked in.
I could see it.
I'm locked in my heart.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'll go true.
That is true. Again. That is true. And get this.
It's such a bad idea. It had to be true.
Because he thought it would bomb like every other pirate movie for the last 30 years.
Yeah. He made the right choice.
I could see it. I mean, Robert De Niro, great actor. I could definitely see him as Barbossa. I mean,
you took this gold? You took this gold? You trying to tell me you took this gold? You're not coming back here? All right.
That would be
amazing. Him with a real big
It's my ship. Yeah. The monkey, he would not have allowed on him. It would have been like, no.
Which another great line. Thank you, Jack. And it's like, not you. We named the monkey.
We named the monkey Jack.
Hey,
by the way, in
Gore.
that scene.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna do a bad joke. Go ahead.
In that scene when the monkey crawls up on his shoulder and he's like, "Thank you, Jack." The monkey smiles. That was not planned. The monkey just did that, and they're just like, they just rolled with it.
This is
like a perfect reaction.
This is pretty big time for us, by the way. I can't remember this guy's name. It's like Marigold or Daisy or something like that. This is the monkey from The Hangover.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on a big.
I was thinking like, when was the last big monkey movie? It was probably Indiana Jones, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark. That monkey in that movie.
Yeah. Jeez.
We love a
Crystal
mischievous
Skull had
monkey.
a lot of monkeys.
That's
Not real ones, but
I don't
Right.
love a mischievous monkey. I
You
don't want to
You
be
don't?
touched by a monkey. I would not allow it on my shoulder. This franchise becomes very this monkey heavy.
That's true.
I would say if I was a
Mm.
pirate and I had my choice of like pirate pet, I would definitely take a monkey over a
Okay,
a
but
parrot.
Jacob,
Yeah.
imagine your tongue is cut out and you have a parrot that can only say set the wind in the sails or something
Yeah.
like that. I'd
figure
be
that
happy with
means
that.
yes.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does it bummer you
Alright.
guys out that I look like that guy? That's like I'm like barreling towards like becoming that dude.
No, you-
Unfortunately,
You're gonna be
You
caught.
could be a
That's
character
pirate name.
actor in a pirate movie.
Yeah.
Just think about
yeah,
that.
like 30 years.
He was only in
There's
a
still a
parrot movie.
planet. If there's still oceans at that point.
So what's the score now? Who's ahead right now?
It
You
is-
guys keeping track?
It is. I have one. I'm one ahead. A couple of the
Okay.
trues I have not factored, but I'm up one. We've been on the same
Great.
side for a lot of these.
That first one I blew.
Yeah, and then the rest we've been on the same page.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next question.
All right.
When Disney CEO Michael Eisner saw how Depp planned to portray Jack Sparrow, he hated it. True or false?
Okay. Yeah. I think we.
I might have said
yeah,
this already.
locked in.
All right.
I'm gonna
3, 2, 1, reveal.
voice true, right?
It's
Feeling
true.
good.
It's true.
Feeling good about that.
Yeah.
He proclaimed that Depp was ruining the film, and he asked if he was supposed to be drunk or gay.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
There you go.
2003.
and so can I ask, how
Non-traditional
do you
masculinity.
guys very true, how do
Right.
you guys interpret it? Because there's been these sort of different theories that he is sunburned out or is perpetually drunk. Obviously he's kind of gone on to say he's portraying him as not having sea legs ever, like even when he's on land he just feels a loss, right?
Yeah. I like to
That's
imagine.
cool.
Yeah, in my head canon, it's like not maybe because he was only there for 3 days, but just the pirating life. He's partied the whole time. Like his brain chemistry is off, like you said, Colin. The scurvy's got him. Like he's not.
Yeah.
I would imagine
there.
it's syphilis, Mike, that truly he
Right,
has a
yeah.
syphilitic brain and he will be dead in like 3 years.
But part of it also is that, and I love characters like this that are cleverer than they let on, but pretend to be like they pretend to not know what's going on less than they actually do, so that they can use that to their advantage at times. You know what I mean?
Play the aloof into the aloofness.
yeah.
Yeah.
He
It's
is
like
kind
he's
of
aware
verbal
of how
hinting
weird-
us. You're right, Jacob.
Yes. And I would argue, you could read his character as a queer character, even though he's, only presented as heterosexual, I think, in this series, but he is a sort of a queer, non-traditional masculinity type of character.
He's androgynous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Which, in the
fine,
eyeliner and which also is, what hair metal bands and stuff were doing in the 70s. So it's kind of ties into that as well.
Yeah, totally.
We also, are you guys a big fan of his guitar career? I mean, we know he goes on to become a vampire of Hollywood. Like, this is a look he really is obsessed with.
Yeah.
I would say it probably doesn't work as
Sauvage.
well now, 20 years later, because
No.
eventually you just become like a washed up rock star instead of a cool
Yes.
rock star in your
But
30s or
and
40s.
but and
Unless you're Keith
Jacob,
Richards.
the thing that he learns from this and kind of keeps committing, because I really remember my father passing this info on to me pretty excitedly. The not just the Keith Richards thing, but then after this, of course, he plays Sweeney Todd. And I remember my dad being like, and he said in an interview, in this one, he's doing David Bowie. So it sort of became this signature thing of like, what musician is Johnny Depp going to channel in his next performance, which is very
also
strange.
just with his partnership with Tim Burton, it was like, what weird thing is like Willy Wonka? How is he going to do
Wonka
Willy
happened.
Wonka?
And
It's
he
nothing like
did Michael
any other-
Jackson in that. He channeled, remember, everybody like made
Right.
big headlines out of that. It was very weird.
Some of them work better than others for me. Like, I didn't like Willy Wonka. I don't like his Mad Hatter, really.
Oh, jeez.
No, because that he channels like a Scottish Highlander, which is like nuts. Do you guys like the Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd was okay. I've only seen it
Yeah.
like once in 2007.
It's-
Helena Bonham Carter. Those were the days of Tim Burton where you just would see Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in every movie that he did. But
Painted pale
hit or
white.
miss.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's Edward Scissorhands before his hands become scissors. He's just a
Right.
barber. Yeah.
Speaking of pale white, sorry, real quick, because I'm sure most of us watch this on Disney Plus is how we watch this today, right?
Yes.
Did you guys notice weird color grading? I wonder if this is one of those things where it's been retouched or something. Did you notice there's really no pure whites? Everything comes off as yellow.
I didn't really notice.
I didn't notice that, but I did notice that green apple was color graded like crazy. It was popping.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you look at people's eyes, they are yellow. They are not white. It's like it's wild.
Pirate disease.
I wonder if that's an extended choice to make everything just kind of dirtier and more.
Yeah, I wonder if it is filtered. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's move on to the next question.
I wonder what the next question is.
Yeah. Just a couple more. Much of Jack Sparrow's dialogue was improvised by Johnny Depp. True or false?
I'm locked in.
Yeah, I'll lock it in.
Lock it in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
Saying true.
False.
A split.
That's true. That's true. A lot of his dialogue was improvised, including Savvy. That was a Depp improvisation. And his final line of the movie, which inspired a band, of course, that Mike knows, Bring Me That Horizon, was a line that Depp came up with on that day of shooting. So, yeah.
Bring me that horizon.
That's a good final line. I'm not familiar with that band.
Bring Me the Horizon.
Bring Me the Horizon.
They're like a metalcore band.
So if Johnny Depp was not in this movie, that band would not exist, or it would be named something different. I guess.
Have a different name.
It'd be named Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah. What's the last line of the previous Star Wars release? It'll be like that. But Bring Me That Horizon.
Right. So there you go. Bring Me the Horizon. Great band.
I put too much stock in the script. I just thought it was too good. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, he brings so much to the role that wasn't on the page in the script that he just started throwing out lines.
When it's a big character piece like this, you just the guy would just say, I'm sure to Gore every time, but I'm feeling it. I'm doing this. I'm sure it's just impossible to get him to say what you want to say. It's okay.
Like I said, he showed up with
a character to accomplish in this scene or interaction. Yeah. Do it however you need to, Johnny.
It really just seems like they just were like, do whatever you think is best for the character. Like, the character better than anyone else, basically, or how you want to portray the character.
Here's an interesting question before we get to the next actual question that you have, because I think they're the linchpins of their franchise. Do you think they could swap? Could Robert Downey Jr. do this, and could Johnny Depp play Iron Man?
I think so, yeah. Robert Downey Jr.
kind of have similar energies as actors.
I think he's Robert Downey Jr. I think is an underrated actor because people are so used to him as Tony Stark now, they forget that he can do other stuff. Like when he was in Oppenheimer, I was like, this guy's great in Oppenheimer. He's doing something different than Tony Stark. And I was like, oh yeah, he can do other things. I forgot.
He's Charlie Chaplin.
Maybe. I don't know. He's probably good at improvising too.
They both improvise a lot. I mean, a lot of those Tony Stark lines were made up, Mike. So
very parallel characters too, because Tony Stark, as the MCU Tony Stark, was a lot of Robert Downey Jr. putting himself into the character, and also that character was not popular before the movie Iron Man at all. As
no. Can you imagine, Jacob, if he was like, I'm picturing this guy as Bruce Springsteen, or if he chose a different musician, and you're like, I don't know. For Tony, I don't know.
No.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, next question.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So this is about Zoe Saldana, our favorite.
She's not green in this. Is that the question?
She's not green. Yeah. She's not blue.
She's not in space.
Disney.
She's on a ship. She is
on a ship.
But after this movie, Disney wanted to make a spin-off featuring her character. True or false?
Anna Marie.
Anna Maria, but without a space in between it. Yeah.
And I'll say this too, maybe just as a hint for both of us, Mike. I'm pretty sure there is a famous lady character in the original ride, and maybe that's an Anna Marie.
Interesting. I should have watched a YouTube about the Easter eggs from the ride.
I should watch somebody ride it. I'd be curious to see what it's like.
HD theme park.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm locked in.
Lock them in. All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'll go true on that.
That is false.
Damn it!
I had to get you guys, but she did.
I could see Michael Eisner making a dumb decision like that. So
right.
I was just thinking maybe her star power just shone through so much. They're like, we got to make a movie about her. But
Anna
she did not return to the sequels because she had a bad experience on set, like Mike was saying. She said, quote, "Those weren't the right people for me. I'm not talking about the cast. The cast was great. I'm talking about the political stuff that went on behind closed doors. It was a lot of above the line versus below the line, extra versus actors, producers versus PAs. It was very elitist. I almost quit the business. I was 23 years old and I was like, fuck this. I'm never putting myself in this situation again. People disrespecting me because they look at my number on a call sheet and think I'm not important. Fuck you."
Dang.
So there you go. Strong
Ready to
words.
get
But
on the big
he was,
show,
like I said, a
you
featured
see the
extra.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was probably very low on that call sheet. So just because
But she's a
Jacob said his
featured
name
star.
earlier, let me wrap this thread up real quick to say that you said this is a Jerry Bruckheimer production.
Yes.
Jerry Bruckheimer, incredibly famous producer who had a deal with Don Simpson. They did Simpson Bruckheimer, which was a really big, like Jacob said, action movie production company that would do like The Rock or like Con Air or like all that old stuff.
Yeah.
When Don Simpson
Pearl
died
Harbor.
and had a heart attack on his toilet from doing way too much cocaine, Jerry Bruckheimer was a little bit adrift, and people were like, what is going to happen with him as a producer now? That is when he did this film, and it is the lightning rod, literally of Bruckheimer films, the lightning hitting the tree in his production title, that kicks off his entire career of him being able to make National Treasure, that Magician's Apprentice thing, like all those films that he had a first look and great big deal with Disney for, including these films, the rest of them as well. So it really does kick off. You have to imagine, Jacob, he's probably the guy who's always thought Donna had a problem with, kind of like a notorious piece of shit as well. So that's, I just wanted to say that to say it's interesting who were those behind the scenes people.
Yeah, right. He did have a long partnership with Disney where he went on to produce National Treasure and Lone Ranger and some other.
He did Lone Ranger too, of course. Should we do?
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. Should we do as an extra episode like we did Galaxy Quest for this series? Should we do Jungle Cruise should we do Lone Ranger? The first movies
it would have to be the Lone Ranger because it's just Johnny Depp again doing the same thing.
Playing a Native American as a white guy. You know, Johnny Depp is a white
starring a cannibal. I would also like to remind everybody who the star of that film is.
Yes, Armie Hammer. Yes.
In the film, I would also like to point out, if you guys haven't seen it, it's about Wendigos, which are cannibals in the movie. So there's a very interesting plot happening there.
Love Armie Hammer. Yeah, I support
would have recommended Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, Mike, maybe we do Muppet Treasure Island as a bonus.
I love it.
Or Treasure Planet.
Oh my gosh, Disney
story
jokes.
by Ted Elliott. And
you let us
maybe
know.
we do.
Right in.
Yes, right in. If we get a couple suggestions either way, we'll definitely
I like having
one
a bonus
you suggest.
on these. Yeah,
there's only 5 mainline entries in this.
Yeah. So there's enough where we could throw something else in there to have fun to wrap it up.
ICs,
But like I was just gonna say, fun fact about Jerry Bruckheimer: he's the first producer in Hollywood history to have the top 2 highest-grossing films in a single weekend. The first one of those is Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. Do you know what the other one was that was in the same weekend?
It opened against this.
This should have been my bonus.
And I fucking wonder if I went to this. I mean, I just remember being so pirates out. Fuck. That would have also been a Jerry Bruckheimer movie.
It's probably not Disney.
No, it's got to be something. It's got to be one of his. Is it like a Michael Bay action movie, Jacob?
Bad Boys?
Yeah, actually, it is a Michael Bay.
Is it Bad
movie.
Boys?
It's Bad Boys 2.
Oh, Bad Boys 2. I was so close.
Yeah, 2003.
Wow.
So there you go.
I did not see that in theaters. I love the Bad Boys franchise, but I did not see that in theaters.
I didn't either. I was later to that franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only 2 more questions, so let's get to those.
All right,
Jerry Bruckheimer also definitely going to die on his toilet with a cocaine overdose, by the way. So let me just set that up for the future.
Yeah, the over-under.
This one I might have touched on already, but we'll just go with it. So the subtitle of Curse of the Black Pearl was added 5 months before the film's release. True or
Weird.
false?
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Lock them in.
Yeah, I'm locked. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, reveal.
Gotta be true.
That is true. And now the reason for this, it was added at Michael Eisner's request because, of course, if it was successful, they wanted to make sequels. Gore Verbinski hated that subtitle because, of course, it's not the Black Pearl that is cursed. It is the Aztec gold that is cursed. So he didn't like the name because he was like, that doesn't make sense. The Black Pearl's not cursed. But you could argue like the crew of the Black Pearl.
Yeah, they're being afflicted. That is the curse of the Black Pearl.
Yes. Gore Verbinski did not like it.
Do you guys like it?
I love it.
It's fine.
It sounds like a great like D&D module. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like
and that's how all these subtitles should be for these things. Yeah.
Well, but knowing in hindsight, Mike, that they really take the pirate additives of like Dead Man Tell No Tales, and I don't think at World's End has a pirate meaning, but you know, the Stranger Tides, those are all very piratey terms. I would have kind of liked if this one was called like, I don't know, like Yo Ho Ho or something.
It's very like is gone.
Yeah.
I like it because it's very Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yeah.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
And I think the other sequels,
it's very A New Hope. I mean, it really is.
The sequel subtitles are not as good because they're all, like you said, pirate themed and just not as imaginative to me.
It's just like evocative.
Like
what
Dead
is
Man's
Black
Chest
Pearl?
is like,
easy. Yeah,
but if it had been something like Barbossa's Revenge, Jacob, I mean, the one is basically called Salazar's Revenge, which is like the worst. It sounds like the Return of Jafar, though, is the issue that I have with it, where I'm like, who? What are you talking about?
But we also like Star Wars, and half the titles of Star Wars movies are like the dumbest titles.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
Revenge of the Sith is so wild. Yeah.
Revenge of the Phantom Menace. I mean, why like the Phantom Menace?
The Phantom Menace is maybe the craziest title of a movie ever made.
Yeah. The Phantom Menace. What does that
You're not
mean,
going to
Georgie?
figure out who the bad guy is. It's a Phantom Menace.
Poetry, they rhyme.
Yeah. But so Michael Eisner, CEO of Disney, you could say he maybe wasn't with the times at this point because he's making a lot of very strange decisions with pirates. He had a very successful run in the 90s, but then would get pushed out for Bob Iger, who is currently still the CEO after Bob Chapek took over for like 2 years, but then Iger came back. So that's the history of Disney CEOs for you there.
Yeah,
Eisner was the guy who, speaking of Aladdin again, came up with the idea of Return of Jafar, of doing those direct to home video movies.
Yes.
He was like, if we have big franchises, we need to be making fucking money. He also cursed nonstop, supposedly.
Yes.
Nice.
Also, on the straight to DVD note, if this movie would have gone to straight to DVD, they wanted to cast Carrie Eels or Christopher Walken as Jack Sparrow. Isn't that strange?
That's
Carrie
Eels makes more sense.
Okay,
but he also was like the Dread Pirate Roberts and stuff, so he's kind of done that.
Elizabeth Swan, what are you doing here? You're like, oh my god, you're so old, Jack.
But you have heard of me.
He's got the Continental's thin mustache, and that's it. And you're like,
Christopher Walken should have been Barbossa, and then Carrie.
Now I will say this, but Jacob, a famous video that I sent you that I'm sure we're not even going to worth mentioning. It kind of, if Christopher Walken did it kind of would have been like Michael Bolton dressing up like Jack Sparrow. It would have been like an old man dressed like a pirate.
Yeah. Even playing opposite Keira Knightley.
Strange choices, but thankfully it wasn't straight to video.
Now, is this our final question?
This is the final question.
Mike, get us up on the score real quick. What are we at here?
So I'm still up 2.
Okay, so this one's worth 10.
Yes, this one's worth 10.
Well, this one's gonna blow your minds. I'll just tell you that. Maybe a little connection with our last video series. Here we go.
Okay.
The ship used as the HMS Interceptor was the same ship used in Star Trek Generations. True or false?
The ship because that one starts.
Yeah.
Yes.
The USS Bounty Enterprise or whatever the fuck they call it.
Enterprise.
Yeah. Right.
It's just the Enterprise on the water. Yeah.
When they're Worf is being promoted, they're all in the holodeck.
He is not a merry man.
Now, can I ask? What would you have thought if Patrick Stewart was wearing Will Turner's Musketeer outfit when he came out?
Well, he's worn some wild swashbuckling outfits when he does Shakespeare, so we've seen a Musketeer.
Oh, no.
Picard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm locked in on this.
Lock them in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
I said
true?
Ooh, same thing.
That is true. That is true.
For a second,
That's wild.
because I was like,
Yeah,
is
that blew my
Paramount going to
mind.
share their boat? But then I'm thinking, how many boats
Look,
are there in Hollywood?
You fucking make these things, and they like we brought it up on the One Piece episode. Most of that, speaking of Long John Silver's, is from the Star's original Treasure Island prequel series, Black Sails. They made all those pirate ships in South Africa, and then they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna keep these here in case anybody wants to shoot something piratey again."
That's smart.
Makes sense. Yeah, the real name of that boat is the Lady Washington. If you think about it, the Interceptor is that smaller boat. It's about, looks pretty much the same as the boat in Star Trek Generations. It is the same.
Awesome.
All right, what would you guys name your boats?
The
what
Black
would you name
Pearl.
our boats?
I would name mine the White Pearl.
Yeah.
Valley Girl.
The Valley Girl would be really cool.
That's a good one.
The Valley Girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it. I don't know. Yeah.
Just a national treasure. All Nicolas Cage projects.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll call mine The Rock, and then it'll crash, and I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it's perfect. All right.
That was
a great quiz.
Name the segment.
The Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Quiz.
Yes, this is incredible.
And Mike, of course, the inaugural first winner.
Yes, you did it. Yo-ho.
Yes, congrats.
Yo-ho to you, my mate. My matey.
An honor. I will take the Aztec treasure now. Thank you.
Oh, no. Don't do
take that.
Live forever.
Great.
Let's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Let's hit some final thoughts then, I think, right? Let's wrap it up here.
After this.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We're pulling up the anchor. Like we said, our boat is in port. None of us are getting hung today. We're getting away with it because we're wrapping up talking about those bad boy pirates. The Pirates of the Caribbean. Curse of the Black Pearl. Here on our first installment of our series of the Disney original franchise. Now we're going to give our final thoughts. What do we think, boys? Like we said, we all really liked this movie, talked about it a lot. It's super important. I'll make this point real quick. We kind of danced around it, but I'll say this is maybe the most important movie we've ever discussed on this podcast released in our lifetime. Wow. I would say Star Wars is the most influential, but of our lifetime, this film would go on to basically be the blueprint for all blockbusters going forward that we now enjoy, I would say.
Yeah, the blockbuster blueprint. I mean, I mentioned early on, like the script is so good. It's like the first act is like so perfectly done. And you see why you would copy this, if you're going to do a blockbuster.
And I think it works too because it's a period piece and it stays true to that, and it has quippiness in it, but it's not super full of like what would become like MCU quippy humor. Like I feel like it's less than that. Like it stays somewhat true to like being a serious historical movie at times where it you can take it seriously.
There's no references. It's not Robert Downey Jr. is not calling Thor Point Break or, like these things which are not really jokes as much as they're just you hearing things you enjoy and kind of going like, yes, I'm being reminded. This is great. There's none of that, Jacob. It's very much character-driven comedy of the time.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's why it works so well. The script is great. I mean, it's like the perfect blockbuster script. Like I said, they should teach it in film school, and the structure is just, it's great.
And again, the constant, we're just putting people like with odd couples, the whole thing. Get Will Turner with Jack, get Jack with Keira Knightley, get Jack with Commodore, just odd couples.
It should be studied.
It mostly gets one-on-ones with literally every character because you could tell in testing, they're like, this is like, let's just mix it. You're right, Mike. It's like, come on, like get everybody a little scene with everyone.
Yeah. It's great.
And I think it should be studied of how good it is at introducing characters, and immediately what's their motivation, what are they all about, like what's their moral code or whatever. Like it just does such a good job of economically giving you this information. And then they said like the pair ups, the double turns, like it's great. And I think my stance on these movies for a long time has been like the first one was really, really good, and then all the sequels, they never quite live up to it. Even the 2 sequels, the direct sequels to this, from my memory, don't hold up to it. So I will be interested to go back and see if I feel better about them or if I feel worse, rewatching them.
But the way that you, and it's not even nostalgia, I would argue, it's just really the way that you become aware of how much practices have changed, right, Jacob, and how modern films are made. But like when we would watch Wild Wild West and truly now be like, they don't make movies like this anymore. I have to wonder if there's been enough time, and that when we return next month for Dead Man's Chest or Dead Man Tell No Tales or whatever the hell the next one's called, if we all won't be a little more enchanted with it than we used to be.
It's definitely possible.
So.
And from my memories, I think 2 and 3 are still better than the other sequels that come after, but they still never quite live up. It's like The Matrix. Like The Matrix,
that's a great
Revelations
analogy. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Is good. Or what's the second one? Revelations.
Reloaded, and then it goes to Revelations.
Yeah. Reloaded, I like Reloaded, but it doesn't live up to the original Matrix to me. Like none of the sequels do.
Which was a perfect film that you very much was a big gamble driven by one weird performance. Like that's it's really kind of a perfect analogy to look at, Jacob, to go and then a studio being like, beef it up, and whatever you do, make the second one kind of Empire Strikes Back. And you're like, but what does that mean? And then seeing how the directors interpret that is really what we end up being paid off with.
Yeah. This one was very much made to be a standalone movie if it needed to be, but also leaving room that there could be sequels if it was successful, but it can stand alone as a movie. Whereas the 2 and 3, they're like, all right, we're going to build up the lore, the mythology of this world more. It's going to be a bigger thing. It's going to be a 2-parter thing where there's going to be overarching narratives between these movies and stuff. And like, I think something about the simplicity of just this movie working as a standalone movie, like that really works for me too.
Yeah. And just like, The Matrix, they both complete their narrative within their runtime and you don't need to pop in the sequel. Whereas if you want to watch number 2, you have to watch 3. Like, you can't just do that.
And you wouldn't probably watch 2 without watching the first one first anyways.
Yeah.
So or if you just watched 3, like I would think you were a lunatic. If you told me I just watch At World's End every couple months, I'd be like, what?
I really like that scene with a bunch of Jack Sparrows in it, right?
Oh,
my favorite part.
I definitely remember that scene.
That is like the Matrix when we get a lot of
yes,
agents.
It is.
Yeah.
That one version of him that's just like screaming. I love it. I love the Matrix. Have we done the Matrix on this podcast? I don't think we have.
I think we have. Actually, we have, haven't we?
We did? Okay.
I'll find out.
Please let me know, because otherwise I lied. That's the most important movie that's been released in our life.
Well, thinking about, we came of age at a very important time where blockbuster movies were really becoming their own thing. We had, of course, we had Pirates, we had Lord of the Rings, we had the prequels, we had Matrix, we had the Spider-Man movies, and we had, Harry Potter. So those were all formative late 90s to early 2000s franchises that made the blockbuster movies what they are today, essentially.
That created a monster.
And Disney
and then
destroyed an industry.
Iron Man would come in 2008 and finish it off once and for all.
Same year as Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
2008.
Wild.
Yeah, it broke everything.
Yeah. So it is
5 years after this, broke everything.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But this
and
vacuum though, it's lovely. It's just a little
great.
bit long.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I think it's the perfect length. I wouldn't make it any shorter.
I would have gone to Isla de Muerto one time. At the very end.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to see how the sequels hold up next month. I'm very excited for that.
Yes, I remember the overarching narrative of like Will's arc and everything, and it's like, okay, I know the story they're telling, but we'll see. I don't think I've ever watched a Pirates movie more than once, except for this one.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to watch these all again for basically the first time in years.
I'm just excited for my boys, Bill Nye, Stellan Skarsgård. They're going to be popping up.
We're going to make some really cool stuff going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned, normies. Next month,
I will say about Stellan Skarsgård going forward. We do have Captain Jack Sparrow look at Will Turner and say, "You look exactly like Bootstrap" in this one. Which in my mind, I was like, I don't know that gets paid off.
Well, that's Bill Nye, I think, is Bootstrap, right?
No, he's Davy Jones.
Oh, I might have had him backwards. And I thought.
Yeah, no. His dad is Stellan Skarsgård, Doug.
That's right.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard serving on.
Yeah,
the
I'll have to
Flying
go back
Dutchman.
Right.
Yeah, it's not,
I know.
It doesn't.
Because SpongeBob's on there.
That's
exactly. Yeah, good job, Pirates. You know, Avast, savvy. We had a good parlay.
It's an incredible franchise. We had a great parlay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and a
right.
Great opening salvo. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very strong entry into the franchise, and stay tuned because we'll be going through them in the months to come.
Going through it. Absolutely.
Normies, listen along. We hope you are toasting us with some rum. What is rum made of? I was thinking about that the entire time too.
It's made of spices and stuff too.
Spices,
right?
Sugar, but it was so
Like
specific to the Caribbean.
That's why it's such
sugar
a tropical
cane, of
drink,
course.
'cause
That makes.
You can't get sugar in
sugar
more
cane,
temperate
that's why.
climates. You can't get
Is
those
Captain
spices.
Morgan your guys' favorite pirate?
Probably.
Okay.
Favorite? Yeah, maybe that is a good way. Favorite pirate.
I do. Yeah, sorry. I like that show. Our flag means death.
John Steed. I'm sorry, I called him Edward Steed earlier. John
Edward
Steed. I enjoy that
Edward
show
Teach,
very much. Edward Teach, yes.
is Blackbeard, which is played by Taika Waititi. Yeah, it's a good show. It's about how all the pirates were gay together the whole time.
Turned out.
It's a gay love story. Check it out, Normies. Anyways,
Boatback Mountain. That's good, right?
Yeah,
Boat.
Basically.
Come on, I had good
That was great. I love the shit.
Heath Ledger, you know, Knight's Tale. It's all connected.
We're on a boat. Yeah.
Love Boat.
He's probably still alive in that timeline where he plays Jack Sparrow, huh?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe.
bummer.
Because he never takes the Joker
Or
role.
Will Turner. Sorry, Will Turner.
Yeah.
He's too busy to take the Joker role, so he
Yeah.
doesn't go insane.
Yep.
No, I don't know. R.I.P. We love you, Heath Ledger.
We do.
All right, Normies.
Yeah. Let's set sail. This has been great.
Let's bring me the horizon.
We appreciate you listening along. Like we said, toast us, but keep tuning in. Like we said, we'll be back in a month. Otherwise, we got some cool end of the year content coming up. Obviously, there's going to be the holidays. We'll probably be taking Christmas off. We're figuring that out right now, but be on the lookout. But otherwise, we'll be back. Check us out at normies_like_us. Rate, review, subscribe. Like we said, that helps us out a lot. Send us a message in a bottle there. We will find that and be very happy to hear your thoughts. And of course, check us out on YouTube as well. But otherwise, we have been your hosts. This is Elizabeth Swan. My corset. My corset. Hey, but sorry, real quick. I know you just said Mike Turner, but sorry, real quick. When she falls into those rocks, I was horrified this time. I was like, she is going to break her neck. Yes, she will die.
Didn't they have a line? It's a miracle she missed the rocks.
She does, yes. What they say to Norrington. It's a miracle she missed the rocks, sir. Don't you go.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's right.
It's a great screenplay.
He tips his hat to the hanged pirate, like, hey, my buddy. Just great stuff. All in that opening act. That's the final thing I'll say. They say do it in the first 15 minutes. It takes about 20. A little bit bigger movie, but textbook.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Mike Turner, turning the page on this one.
This is Captain Jake Sparecobb.
I love it.
Avast, ye mateys.
Avast, yo ho,
yo ho.
Yo ho.
Oh, so that's why Jacob's kind of.
That's right.
But how did Jacob escape that island with the sea turtles?
Yes, the sea turtles.
Tied his body
from my back.
Bye.
Thanks, Normies.